Now is the time.
Wednesday afternoon in Atlanta. Game 1 of the National League Division Series finds the 28-year-old from Encino, California, Russ Ortiz, a 14-game winner against one of the major's masters of the hill, 36-year-old Tommy Glavine, in this, his 11th postseason.
Family Major League Baseball Division Series. Brought to you by 1010-220. Dial it, and all calls up to 20 minutes are 99 cents.
This afternoon from Turner Field in Atlanta, it's Game 1 of the National League Division Series. The champions of the East, the Atlanta Braves, against the wild card champs from San Francisco, the Giants of Barry Bonds. Now, the Braves are right at home in October. They've qualified for the playoffs every season since '91. This is something of a homecoming for Giants manager Dusty Baker, the former Brave, who was in the on-deck circle that night right here in Atlanta when Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's all-time home run record. He leads the Giants into the playoffs for the third time under him. Here's what's on deck for Dusty. Kenny Lofton was acquired at mid-season to give the Giants a legitimate leadoff hitter. Jeff Kent had another 100 RBI season. Barry Bonds batting fourth. That playoff average of 196, the only tarnish of an incredible career. They take on Tommy Glavine. Hi, everybody. We welcome you to Atlanta. I'm Dave O'Brien, along with Tony Gwynn, the 8-time National League batting champ. Thanks so much for joining us. Tony, you've said facing these guys, Maddox and Glavine in the Atlanta rotation, is the most challenging thing for a hitter. Let's assume right now, by the way, you hit .429 against Maddox, .312 against Tommy Glavine. You responded to that challenge. Let's assume that Bonds won't get a lot to hit, that he'll be walked a bunch of times in the series. How about the rest of the Giants? What do they have to do to attack Glavine and beat him today?
I think you hit the nail on the head. The biggest thing they're going to have to try to do is attack Tom Glavine. Now, Glavine's stubborn. You know, he didn't get 200 and something wins by just laying the ball over the plate. He's going to have to try to make guys hit his pitch. He is not going to give in. And so the Giant hitters, in particular, Kent, Santiago, Sanders, those three guys are going to have to try to make things happen for the Giants. Otherwise, Barry Bonds is going to have to come out of his little zone and try to make something happen himself.
Well, Bonds has been in his zone against Atlanta the last 2 years, hitting about 500 with 8 home runs, and they're up against the lefty Glavine, who won 18 during the regular season. Glavine making his 31st postseason start. He's actually a losing pitcher in the playoffs with a 12-13 record, but he's pitched better than that looks. In 5 World Series, his ERA is 2.16. Now, behind Tommy Glavine defensively, this infield, Castilla, Furcal, Lockhart, and Julio Franco, has turned the second highest number of double plays in the National League.
And I think it's important, too, because when Tommy Glavine is on, he gets a lot of ground balls. And you can't give a team like the Giants extra opportunities by making errors. And so it's important that if Glavine's on and they're getting ground balls, the Braves defense are making plays behind him.
Kenny Lofton will lead things off for the San Francisco Giants, and they come in rolling here in October. They have won their last 8 regular season games, and with a playoff spot to be won, they went 25-8 down the stretch to claim the wild card. Glavine's first pitch of the day is in there for a strike, and that's Mike Riley behind the plate. Mike is the crew chief. It'll be Lofton, Aurelia, and Jeff Kent, and then Bonds, the cleanup man. The 0-1 pitch just off the corner, and you'll see a lot of that today with Tom Glavine, the 36-year-old from Concord, Massachusetts. Lofton, a one-time member of the Atlanta Braves for 1 season in 1997. The rest of the umpires today, and of course you go with a 6-man crew in the playoffs. Emil, Angel Hernandez at second, Lane at third, and Cheetah and Barrett on the lines. 2-2 on Lofton.
I think it's important to note right off the bat, Tommy Glavine's all the way over on the third base side of the rubber. And so if you're a left-handed hitter, Lofton, Barry Bonds, J.T. Snow, Tommy Glavine's going to give you a real good look at the pitch, especially if he tries to come inside.
Down low, and he goes full on Lofton. A very sunny day, and that could play a factor with this 1 o'clock start. Bobby Cox talking about it before the game, and he said with a high sky today, the outfield could be treacherous. 3-2 fly to the 4-time Gold Glover Andrew Jones there to make the catch. Handled that chance with ease, 1 away.
And what you saw there, that's the first time in that sequence of pitches that Glavine kind of got near the middle of the plate. And what he will do when he goes in the middle of the plate, he'll change speeds. Instead of throwing 88, maybe he'll throw 84, 85, just to kind of throw the hitter's timing off.
Well, here's a guy who hits Tommy Glavine very well. Rich Aurelia, the Giant shortstop, hit .257 during the regular season, but against Glavine in his career, he is 13 out of 35. That's a .371 average, including a home run.
Rich Aurelia has really picked it up here, in the last month.
And he takes ball 1.
And so, I made the mention of him being on the third base side of the rubber. And for the right-handed hitters now you have to be able to determine what's a ball and what's a strike that's on the inside part of the plate.
Base is empty, 1 away, just getting started. Game 1 in Atlanta, and a strike to Aurelia. But Tommy Glavine, 2002 is really 2 seasons in 1. In the first half, he was neck and neck with Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson for the Cy Young Award. He went 11-4 with a .227 ERA, but just 7-7 in the second half. He misses, and it's 2-1. So he fell out of the running for the Cy Young, but Glavine has won that honor twice. And he has put together another excellent year with 18 wins, 11 losses.
And the thing you got to like about it, he just will not give in. He's stubborn as a mule.
Fly ball left field, and Chipper Jones, who became the first-time outfielder in 2002, puts it away for out number 2.
And really came on as a left fielder. Early in the season, you could tell, he wasn't real comfortable out there, but as the season moved along, he's a bona fide left fielder now. He's really come a long way and done a nice job.
Well, not an overflow crowd here in Atlanta. The building that holds about 50,000. They're expecting 10 to 15,000 short of that. As Braves fans, we got a little blasé about the division series, at least the first round, and they will not sell out. They will not come close on this Wednesday afternoon. Here's Jeff Kent. A .313 average during the season, a career high 37 homers. Another superb season for him, and he takes ball 1. That's his 6th consecutive 100 RBI campaign, and he led the National League with 81 extra base hits. Base is empty, 2 down. Glavine looking to zip through the first inning, and that's a strike to the outside corner.
Since Kent came to the Giants, he's really, I think, become a complete hitter. He's a guy who not only hits the ball out of the ballpark and drives in the big run now, but, he hits for the average. He can hit behind runners. He does a lot of things now.
A strike, and it's 1-2, and Glavine looks sharp here in the opening inning. As he was in his 1 start earlier this season against the Giants, he beat them with 7 shutout innings. And in that game, every time he faced Barry Bonds, there was nobody on base. 4 times. Just wide, 2-2. Glavine nibbling on the corner. He thought he had strike 3.
And, Glavine, these are the type of games that I call them the big 3, Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz. These are the type of games that they want to be in. Where you have to concentrate, you have to locate, you have to think a little bit out there, and these guys are 3 of the best at it.
Lefties 2-2, fly toward right, backing out Franco, the first baseman. Lockhart over to help out, and Lockhart calls him off and makes the catch. Battling the sun, but they go 1-2-3. So here come the Atlanta Braves for a call. Franco and Sheffield coming up as the Braves try and get on the board first. The Giants go down quickly against Tom Glavine. And now to the bottom half of inning number 1. Here's a look at Bobby Cox starting 9. Rafael Furcal, the Swift shortstop, will lead things off. Julio Franco, 41 years old and counting. Still a very tough out at first base. Sheffield with 25 home runs. His power number's down a little bit because of injuries this year. But Andrew Jones hit 35 homers. Chipper Jones with 100 RBIs once again. The bottom part of that order is going to be called on to do some damage today against the right-hander Russ Ortiz. He is 14-10 for the regular season. The Giants don't have a starter who won 15 games during the regular season. Tony, the only playoff club without one.
And that's, I think is a testament of what a great job Dusty Baker did as a manager of this club, getting the most out of them. They were banged up a little bit, but the starters, especially in the month of September, they really came up.
Defensively, Bonds, Lofton, and Sanders in the outfield, and Benito Santiago, the ageless catcher, behind the plate. And he and Ortiz have formed a pretty good combination all season long, especially in September.
Yeah, and it's going to be his job in this series especially to take command of the pitchers and get them throwing strikes, because in Ortiz's case, he has a tendency to nibble a little bit, and therefore he ends up walking a lot of guys. And if you walk a lot of guys in postseason, you're going to be in trouble.
Recall a switch hitter, and he takes strike 1. Ortiz closing the season with a flourish. He went 5-0 in September with a .288 earned run average and several clutch victories. Good fastball, 92-94, and a heavy ball. He breaks a lot of bats with it. 1 ball and 1 strike on for call.
He also has, I think he has a split finger, and they don't talk about it that much, but that heavy ball that you're referring to, I think a lot of times, he'll just throw one about 83, 84 miles per hour and hit them on their hands.
Base hit to right, ripped into the outfield by Furcal, and he's aboard quickly. And with him, some serious speed, so the Braves have the leadoff man aboard. Furcal, such a key to Atlanta's success. They are 57-9 since the 1st of May when he scores a run.
If you're the Atlanta Braves, this is exactly what you want to happen. You want to get your leadoff man on, put some pressure on the Giants right away. You got a guy in Franco coming up to the plate who can handle the bat. He can move the ball around. Furcal's a guy who can steal a base. They want to try to put some pressure on the defense right away.
On the topic of ageless wonders, here's Julio Franco, a 41-year-old who won a batting title in the American League in another lifetime, Tony. That was 1991 with Texas. You see the numbers on Furcal, who has been caught often, 15 times. And really just a question of how soon he's going to take off. Bobby Cox talking about Franco before the game and the reason he's got him at first base. He said he is still among the toughest outs in the National League, a .284 average during the season. But he is going to make Ortiz work for the out. Slicer foul, 0-1.
And what you saw right there was on first pitch was Julio Franco taking a shot at that hole between first and second. And that's why Bobby Cox likes him. He's a guy who can move the ball around. He can play a hit and run, and look at him taking a shot at that hole between first and second. Trying to put the pressure on the defense. Like I said, we're going to talk about putting the pressure on the defense, I think, not only in this series, but every series. I think it's one part of the game that teams that do it really well, they really take advantage of it. And I think at the top of the Braves lineup, they have an opportunity to do exactly that, and they're going to try to do it.
Sheffield on deck, no score, first inning. Ortiz from the belt. Furcal not running. And that might be 2. Aurelia to Kent. Got 1 on the first double play. 6-4-3. Ortiz gets the ground ball he was looking for out of Julio Franco. And the bases will be empty for Sheffield.
And if you're Russ Ortiz and Benito Santiago, that's exactly what you're looking for. A ground ball right to Rich Aurelia, and he makes the toss to Kent. He turns it over. And now from being in a situation where they're putting pressure on you, you make a pitch, you get a ground ball, and now you're out of it again.
So here's the man who says he always wanted to be an Atlanta Brave, Gary Sheffield. 307, 25 home runs. Gary says, I know this is why I'm here. I live for the playoffs. I want the pressure. He says that at the end of today, Cox didn't like the call for strike 1. At the end of today, if his numbers and his performance don't match up to Barry Bonds, he will not feel he did his job.
He's putting a lot of pressure on himself right off the bat.
Took the low strike, and that one's off the corner. 1-1. His career in the postseason, he's been very productive in 16 games. With the Florida Marlins, a .320 average, 3 home runs. He's wearing a World Series ring, largely because of that success. But he says he has to match Barry Bonds, his dear friend, statistically. He grounds it to Aurelia, who hoovers it up and throws him out. And only 3 men Ortiz needs to face in the first inning. Well, Bonds is coming up. 46 homers, .370 the batting average. The National League batting champ at 38. He's coming up. Bonds in the box. Second inning, though, scored Glavine to work to him. And delivers a strike. And a look back by Bonds. Mike Riley already has a couple of not very favorable glances from both sides.
Barry letting him know, if you're going to call that a strike, then I'm going to have to come out of my zone.
The 0-1, a little trickler into the shift. Lockhart guns him down. 4 up and 4 down against Tom Glavine.
See, that's what Tommy Glavine does. He changes speeds in the strike zone. And him getting that first pitch called a strike. He's all the way on the third base side of the rubber, and Barry thinks that ball's down, and he comes back and takes a little off the fastball, gets him out in front, and he rolls over. Ground ball to second.
So at least for now, Bonds' playoff average, which was an anemic 196 coming in 27 postseason games, continues to go down. Here's Benito Santiago at 278, 16 homers, 74 RBIs.
I'm sorry, Dave. I think for Barry, obviously, every time you go up there and you're not hitting the ball hard, you're going to think about that. That's going to be on your mind. You know people are just waiting to make people notice that he's hitting the .190.
Well, you know what? He says it doesn't bother him at all. He said, I'm not nervous. He said, in fact, I'm a lot more nervous on opening day than I am going into the playoffs. You're not buying it.
No, I believe that. I believe he's not nervous, but I think, every time you go up to the plate, it's almost like the start of the season. You want to...
Out of the reach for call, and Franco, and it's into right field for a base hit by Santiago.
That first base hit is just like a relief for everybody. And here's Benito staying back and driving this ball to right field. And so once you get that first hit out of the way, then you can relax and go out and do what you do. But, obviously every time you go up there and you're making an out, you're going to think about it a little bit.
The first hit of the ball game for Benito Santiago. And that'll send up Reggie Sanders, a .250 hitter with 23 home runs. And for Reggie, his 4th postseason, all with different clubs. Although last year, he parlayed another postseason appearance into a World Series ring with Arizona. Low for ball 1. JT Snow up next. The Giants have not had a whole lot of fun facing Atlanta, regardless who's on the mound, over the last several years. Since 1995, the Giants are 25 and 45 against the Atlanta Braves. So the Braves have pretty much had their way with San Francisco. Soft line drive. Here comes Jones. He pulls up into second base. Santiago. He had to wait for that ball to fall in. And it's back-to-back singles here for the San Francisco Giants. So they've got something going here after Bonds grounded out to start the inning.
And Benito Santiago played this exactly right, because normally if there's a ball hit to center field, if it can be caught, Andrew Jones is going to make the play. And Benito froze right there. Then he had to hustle in because Andrew threw the ball to second base. But that was good base running, good hitting by Reggie Sanders.
So an RBI chance right here for JT Snow. 53 of them during the regular season. Only 1 out. Atlanta trying to survive this second inning, and that's a first pitch strike. So out of the first 7 hitters, Glavine has tossed a first pitch strike to 5 of them.
And that was a little bit what I was talking about being aggressive. You want to be aggressive against Tommy Glavine, but you also have to be patient, Jeff. And when you do swing the bat, you want to swing the bat at good pitch.
Fouled off, 0-2 on Snow. JT looking to duplicate his division series of 2000 against the Mets. He hit 400 with a 3-run homer in that series against New York.
I think for the Giants, obviously somebody in this lineup is going to have to be the guy to step up and get a big hit. I don't think the Braves are going to let Barry Bonds beat him, and so somebody else in this lineup is going to have to get some hits to drive in some runs.
Lopez gobbled it up, a pitch in the dirt. Nice stop by Javi Lopez. So Bonds 0 for 1 on the day. 38 years old. National League batting champ. He says that you were the first guy who convinced him, who told him he could win a batting title.
Yeah. And you know, I didn't think it would take this long for him to become as patient a hitter as he's become the last couple of years. But he's a great hitter, and I think, you know, we get caught up in the home runs, but he's a great hitter. He hits balls in the zone, and he can hit balls out of the zone. And so I'm not surprised that he finally ended up winning one. But I thought he'd win one about 8 years ago.
Yeah. Well, he said he never really believed it until this season. 2 on, 1 out. Glavine to the plate. That's hit hard. And a fair ball just inside first base. Santiago is being waved around. That rolls all the way down into the corner. He scores. Here comes Reggie Sanders. It bounced away from Sheffield. 2 runs in. J.T. Snow drives in a pair. And it's San Francisco ahead 2-0 in the second inning. I mean, inches inside that chalk line by Snow.
You know, J.T. Snow got a ball he can handle, kind of out over the plate a little bit. And this ball is right inside the bag. Just fair. And Gary Sheffield had a little bit of trouble with this ball. And J.T. Snow really could have ended up on third base. He came around second base and kind of hit the skids a little bit and stopped at second, but he could have easily been standing on third.
A 2-run double for Snow. And so it's the Giants, without Barry Bonds' help, getting in front here quickly. Here's David Bell, the third baseman. He batted .261 during the season. There's a floater over the leaping for call and into the outfield. Snow around third. He'll score standing up. An RBI single for Bell, and it is 3-0 San Francisco. 4 consecutive hits for the Giants off of Glavine.
Well, and really the Giants aren't hitting the ball hard. They're just hitting the ball in good spots. This is a ball, once again, that's out over the plate. David Bell kind of hits it off the end of the bat, just enough to get over for Call's head. And because he hit it so softly, J.T. Snow had plenty of time to come around third and score.
So it's not like they're teeing off against Glavine, who looked very sharp through the first 4 hitters. But they're finding homes out there. That brings up Russ Ortiz, a pretty good hitting pitcher. During the regular season, a .246 average with 2 home runs. 1 out here, and 3 runs in for the Giants.
You see 2 home runs, 9 RBIs.
Drops down a foul bunt, but this is one area he needs to improve on. He's only sacrificed 7 times all year. He's just not a very good bunter, Tony.
Yeah, when you're a starting pitcher and you only have 7 sacrifices, you know, that lets you know he's not that great a bunter, but he does swing the bat. He's really a good hitter. But in this situation, you want him to sacrifice and get this guy over to second so he can get back in the dugout and relax a little bit. And
squares the bunt again and lets it go up high. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Giants trying to get to a World Series. Their last World Championship was 1954. And since the move to San Francisco, they have won just 1 postseason series. That was the '89 League Championship against the Cubs. 1-1 bunted at and fouled off. So Ortiz still having trouble with it. Game 1 of the National League Division Series. The San Francisco Giants at the Atlanta Braves. Dave O'Brien, Tony Gwynn with it. And the Giants have a 3-0 lead. They put hits together 4 straight. Santiago, Sanders, Snow, and Bell in succession after Bonds rolled out to second to begin the inning. J.T. Snow with a big hit, a 2-run double. Bell at first. Strike 3 call. He was going to swing the bat. But now he finds the bat rack. First strikeout today for Glavine.
And this is a good pitch by Tommy Glavine. You know, stayed away from him the whole at bat, and then with 2 strikes, come right in under the knuckles. Strike 3.
So 2 away, and it's back to the top of the order, and Kenny Lofton, who started the afternoon in the Atlanta Sun with a fly to center field. The 35-year-old acquired from the White Sox on July 28th. And Kenny takes a pitch in there for a strike. I mean, some guys really know how to impress a new club, and Kenny Lofton's one of those guys. In his very first Giant at bat against the Phillies, he belted a home run.
Well, that's a nice way to start your tenure with a new club. We've seen already today, it looks like the Giants have a really good approach. They're not really going up there trying to force the action. They're taking what Tommy Glavine gives them and they're trying to do something with it. And it's been good enough to put 3 runs on the board. And it's also given them confidence now. They've got a lead.
It's on the outside edge, 0-2. Tommy Glavine's stuff remains as constant as the face of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Always the same.
Well, see, when you're a left-handed hitter, when a guy's pitching from the third base side of the rubber, the tendency is when you see that ball away is to give up on it, thinking it's going to be outside. And the first 2 pitches here, he's gone away, and he's gotten the call on the outside corner.
He's been doing that ever since Atlanta brought him up 16 years ago. Just dabbing on that outside corner. A couple of things have changed with Tommy Glavine, though, and in the early days, he was a little bit reluctant to come in on right-hand hitters with that fastball, wasn't he?
Right, he was. The outside part of the plate had always been his strength.
To pitch a pitch out, but no play on. Bell holding it first.
And you've noticed the difference in the last couple of years. Before he would go away, and if he came in, it would be in for show. It would be in to get the hitter off the plate to set up the ball away. But the last couple of years, at least, he's really started throwing the ball inside the right-handed hitters.
The 1-2 to Lofton in there for strike 3. Got him looking. So Glavine closes the inning with a couple of strikeouts, but he gives up 4 hits and 3 runs. Andrew Jones, who hit 35 home runs during the season, is coming up for Atlanta as we go to the bottom of the second. Terrific start for the Giants. They lead the Braves 3-0 here in Game 1, going to the bottom half of the second inning, and more baseball playoffs coming up later today at 4 o'clock Eastern. It's the Twins and the A's, Game 2 on ABC Family. Minnesota overcame 3 errors to stun the A's in Game 1. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern, it's the Angels and the Yankees, Game 2 on Fox. Bernie Williams, the Yankee hero in Game 1 with a big home run. New York always seems to have a playoff hero, or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's Chipper Jones swinging and fouling the first pitch back from Russ Ortiz onto the home half of the second. And we'll see if Atlanta can rally and recover here the way the Minnesota Twins did after burying themselves early in yesterday's game against the A's, and they came back to win.
I mean, how impressive was that? I mean, down 5-1, and just a comedy of errors early in the game.
Well, they were awful, but turned it around and wound up pulling it out, kind of stunning the Oakland A's. Koski, 1 for 5, a home run. That was a huge hit, 3 RBIs. And the Minnesota bullpen with 4 terrific innings and no runs allowed.
I think that's the key stat of the game, because everybody knew that the Twin starters was a little concerned because they hadn't pitched, but their bullpen is excellent.
Chipper Jones with a routine hopper to Kent. And out number 1, we'll see how Ortiz handles life with a 3-run lead. He'll face Andrew Jones next.
But see, now he can afford to be aggressive. He can afford to come right at guys. And until they do some damage against him, it makes no sense, trying to nibble. Just come right at him, and if they start to hit the ball, then you're going to have to make some pitches, because he's got a 3-run cushion to work with now, so he can be a little bit more aggressive.
Andrew Jones with a good season, 35 homers, 94 RBIs, but I'll tell you what, the Giants really cooled him. He was just 2 for 22 against them, and he's improving on that right away. Got the first pitch in the strike zone and knocked it into left. That's the Braves' second hit against Ortiz.
He becomes a big player in this lineup, because here's Russ Ortiz trying to go away and leaving this ball in the middle of the plate. And Andrew Jones does what he's supposed to do with it. He hits it hard for a base hit. But Jones is important in the middle of that lineup, because, if Sheffield or Chipper Jones was swinging a bat good, then they're going to work around those guys to get to him. and he's going to be the key guy for Atlanta. He's going to be have to be the guy to drive in some big runs for them too.
Javi Lopez, 233, 11 homers during the season. The Giants have turned one double play. Franco hit into that in the first inning. And that's ball one. And in fact, Dusty Baker made that exact point before the game. He said, you know, everyone talks about taking the bat out of Barry's hands, and they've done it for the last several years. But he said, I don't want to face Gary Sheffield either.
Exactly. With
men on. And, you know, if there's a base open, look for us to walk Gary Sheffield. And Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones, when they're hot, same thing applies.
Yeah.
2-0.
And so now after the base hit by Andrew Jones, Russ Ortiz falls behind in the count 2-0. And you know, you don't want to do that. You want to try to throw strikes, and obviously it's the postseason, and you know guys are working with nerves and trying to calm down and do the things that they normally do. But he's going to have to throw strikes.
Check swing up high, and he needs to throw a strike here. And against the Javi Lopez, and it's a short sample, but Lopez appears to hit him pretty well. 4 out of 9 with a home run when facing Ortiz. 3-0. He's taking all the way. 3 balls and 1 strike. The Atlanta Braves have played 21 playoff series since 1991. And Tony, the first game seems to be so key for them in 17 of those games. However that thing was decided, that's how the series went.
Yeah, and so obviously they want to get off to a good start. And it'll be interesting if they send Andrew Jones here on this 3-2 count.
Running popped up on the left side of the diamond. Bell coming in. Fighting that sun. He's there to make the catch. So Lopez can't get it done there. 3-0. Now, how does that change how Atlanta will attack Ortiz? Does their game plan this soon in the contest, down 3-0, have to change at all?
I don't think so. I think the thing with them is it's just like the Braves and the Giants in a sense. Somebody other than Sheffield, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones are going to have to step up and get some big base hits in this series to keep them in it. And, you know, that was an opportunity. Javi Lopez was ahead of the count. You know, 3-1 pitch. He ended up popping it up. And so Castilla, Lockhart, Lopez, you know, one of those guys are going to have to get a big hit for Atlanta to stay in this series too. But, you know, they've only lost one divisional series or one, you know, first round of the playoff series, and that was to the Cardinals in 2000. And the Braves have really made a living putting runs on the board early, putting the pressure on the other team and forcing them, you know, to try to come back against their great pitching. But, you know, I think it's important for them to get off to a good start, and obviously San Francisco jumped off to the early start and have an early lead.
So far, Andrew Jones has held the first base, 2 out. Not running there. Vinny Castilla's been here before. This is his 3rd trip to the postseason. His numbers are pretty good in the playoffs. 385 with 4 home runs. Tell you what, Castilla had some serious home run drought in the middle of the summer. He went 3 months in between home runs at one point. He lays off the breaking ball. From June 11th through September 13th, he did not hit one out of the park, and that's a stretch of 256 at-bats. And he still has very good power, and he can still catch up to the fastball, but I mean, he was suffocated during those months.
I think what it does show you is how good defensively he is at third base too, because, you know, obviously they brought him over here to be a run producer, but he does such a great job on the defensive end too.
Yeah, he stayed in the lineup despite all that. Up the middle, diving stop Aurelia, but he just slowed it down, and it rolls behind him. Jones into second base, so it'll be a single for Vinny Castilla. Aurelia tried to make the sprawling play at short, got leather on it, but did not make the play. First and second, 2 out.
And Castilla got a ball out over the plate, takes it right back up the middle, and Aurelia's got the glove there. He just doesn't get it to go in it. It goes off his glove, and so once again, the Braves have an opportunity to put a run on the board here, and somebody other than their big three is going to have to step up there and get a hit to do it.
Well, the hitter will be Keith Lockhart, a light-hitting second baseman during the season, just a .216 average. but with occasional power, and he can surprise you once in a while.
He sure can, you know, but Keith's forte really is coming off the bench and being that left-handed pinch hitter for the Braves. And, you know, this is a situation where, you know, just a base hit, he doesn't have to try to go deep, just a base hit to get him, you know, back in the game.
Bounces away from Santiago. Jones trying to move up. He will, and so will Castilla into second. So now a base hit by Lockhart can bring the Braves to within 1 run.
You know, Benito tried to shift his body to get in front of this ball. And he just really was kind of lazy with the glove work on it. And so now the Braves can get back within a run here on a base hit.
And by the time Santiago collected the wild pitch, both runners had moved up. The 1-0 to Lockhart is up high. Tom Glavine up next.
Glavine standing in the on-deck circle. That's not an automatic out either. And then it looks like they're going to walk Lockhart here and take their shot at Glavine.
So Lockhart to be intentionally passed, and this will load up the bases. Dusty Baker wants to go after the lefty pitcher. And with 2 down, in a spot where Glavine has to swing the bat.
A little strategic move by Dusty Baker early in the game. Walk Lockhart to get to Tommy Glavine, who just gave up 3 runs, and to see if he can help himself right here.
Kind of an off year for Glavine with the bat. He hit just 103, no homers, 3 runs batted in. But he has a Brave at every base. Jones, Castilla, and Lockhart. Needless to say, this would be a giant lift for Atlanta if he could drill one through. He takes ball 1.
And the key with Russ Ortiz is to throw strikes. He's got to come after people. You can't afford to be nibbling now. You got to go ahead and make a quality pitch and let your defenders help you.
Glavine taking all the way, 1 ball and 1 strike, and Ortiz has scuffled with the base on balls over the years. This year, 94 walks in 214 innings. Walked 125 men 3 years ago. And yet, because his stuff is so good, hit fair inside third down the line. In comes Jones. Castilla being waved in. The throw home. He's safe. It struck Castilla. Runners will move up to second and third, and there are 2 runs in for Atlanta. Tom Glavine nailing one inside third base. And it's a 3-2 game at the 10.
Just like that, momentum shift back to the Braves' favor. Tommy Glavine looking like an everyday player there. Inside out in a fastball, carving it down the line. Barry Bonds made a nice play on it. He came up, made a nice throw to the plate. You know, hit the runner, hit Vinny Castilla right in the back. And allowed their runners to move up another 90 feet. So now they're a base hit away from taking the lead possibly.
So Bonds will be charged with an error on the play. 2 runs in for a call showing bunt. And he takes it high for ball 1. He singled in the first inning, but did not score. So it's a single and 2 RBIs for Tom Glavine and an error on Bonds, whose postseason woes continue.
And that's a tough error. I mean, he made a perfect throw. Just hit the runner right in the back.
It was a terrific throw. Fly to shallow center and lofted in for out number 3. But Tom Glavine, who was roughed up in the second inning, giving up 3 runs, gets 2 of them back in the batter's box. And now we'll see what Barry Bonds is up to. Game 1 of the division series, San Francisco up by 1, but Tommy Glavine just cut it to 1 in the batter's box, Tony.
He had a great AB. You know, he took a strike, and he takes this fastball down and away, and he just goes with it and hits it right inside the bag. And, you know, Barry Bonds is shading that way, and he comes up and he makes a 1-hop throw, and it hits Vinny Castilla right in the back. And unfortunately for him, he gets an error, but, you know, he did everything perfect, and the ball hits Castilla, and as an outfielder, that's one of those errors in a 162-game season you can just count on. You're going to get one of those when you hit a run.
Unfortunately, it bites Bonds in the playoffs, where he's had plenty of trouble anyway. Here's Rich Aurelian as we go to the 3rd inning, and then Kent and Bonds go up against Glavine. In the second inning, San Francisco strung together 4 consecutive hits to take a 3-0 lead. But Glavine got 2 of them back as a hitter with the bases loaded. Fly ball right field. And Sheffield calls off Andrew Jones for out number 1.
I think what that last inning did for both teams really is allowed them to relax and say, okay, we're playing baseball, we're doing what we've done all season long. Kind of take that nervous energy, that nervous edge off, and allow these guys to just go out there and do what they've done all year long.
1 out for Kent. Jeff Kent popped out to second his first trip. Giant second baseman, of course, the 2000 National League MVP. Bonds won it last year. He's likely to win it again this year. So that would give the Giants the last 3 most valuable players.
All the hardware is going, going to San Francisco.
Going to the Bay Area.
Exactly.
Think about maybe Tejada picking up an MVP.
Exactly. Bonds has had another magnificent year. This time, where 2 years ago when Kent won it, it looked like Bonds' years just kind of get lost in the shuffle. Now it's flipped. It looks like Kent's years get lost in the shuffle. But 37 homers, 108 RBIs. He hit over 300 again. He's a guy that likes to play every day. They even gave him some days at first base this year. Doesn't complain, just goes about his business, puts numbers on the board, and helps his team win.
He hit 3 home runs in 7 games against Atlanta this year. So he got some pitches to hit, as you would expect. That's off the corner. And do you remember how upset they got in '96 when the Giants' brand new general manager, Brian Sabean, traded Matt Williams, a very popular player, for Jeff Kent? Giant fans practically petitioned the San Francisco City Council to reopen Alcatraz so they could stick Sabean in there to pay penance for that trade.
Oh, yeah.
That's how unpopular that deal was.
You're right. It was very unpopular.
It turned out to be a brilliant move, and Sabean and their Peter McGowan, the chairman of the Giants, haven't made many wrong moves.
They sure haven't. They really have not. They picked up Schmidt a couple years ago, or last year.
Grounded toward for call. Fires on with one of the strongest arms in the game. 2 up, 2 down here in the third.
They locked Barry Bonds up, and obviously Jeff Kent being a free agent at the end of the year. They have questions they got to deal with again.
Now back to 1992, the only career home run in the playoffs for Bonds, and it came against Tommy Glavine. Look at that skinny kid rounding the bases. And how about that skinny kid? Just 1 home run in his postseason career. 0 for 1 today. Glavine got him to bounce out to second. And if you're going to face Bonds, this is the way to do it. Nobody on base.
Right. And, it's a situation where for me, it's interesting to watch a guy like Barry Bonds hit in this situation because this is a postseason. It's about winning games, and he's going to do whatever he's got to do to help his team win.
Barry Bonds, incidentally, not alone among great players of a given generation who did not put up sensational playoff numbers. Willie Mays hit exactly 1 home run in 89 postseason at-bats. And Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt just 1 round tripper in his playoff career. That's on the inside corner.
And that was a 2-0 changeup to a left-hand hitter, which is like taboo. Lefties don't throw lefties changeup, but 2-0, throw him a little changeup inside.
It's a different book with Glavine. Line drive, and he smashed it into center field for a base hit. So not out of the ballpark, but right through the middle for Bonds, who is 1 for 2.
And the thing that base hit does is just kind of re-emphasizes how careful you have to be. Glavine is nibbling, trying to get him to fish at something here. 2-0 changeup inside. 2-1 fastball in the middle of the plate, and that was crisp right there. Just a line drive back up the middle.
It sounded crisp.
It did.
It sounded like the definition of crisp.
And the swing, getting in position, taking the swing, that was crisp too. And so all that base hit does really is reemphasize the fact that, hey, this is not a guy we're going to let beat us.
So from the stretch, he'll work to Benito Santiago. He grounds that one toward the middle for call on the charge. He'll go back to second, tap it. He thought about first, but got the certain out. And And in the third inning for the Giants, no runs a hit and one man left. Gary Sheffield, Barry Bonds' dear friend. Welcome back to Game 1 of the Division Series. The Giants on top of the Braves 3-2 here on ABC Family. Tony Gwynn, Dave O'Brien with you from Turner Field in Atlanta on a Wednesday afternoon. And it seems like both clubs getting their runs in the second inning kind of answered each other. And Ortiz and Glavine will now go after one another the rest of the way. Julio Franco hit into a double play his first time up. He'll be followed by Sheffield and then Chipper Jones. So for Ortiz, the second time through the most difficult part of the Atlanta batting order. Fastball in tight, and it's 2-0.
That last pitch by Ortiz, he just doesn't seem to want to get the call. You know, he's worked it in there nicely. It's just, you know, hadn't been able to either nip the inside corner or get the call on it. And it's a pitch he's going to have before the day is out.
Franco gets a piece back to the screen. Third inning here as we welcome you to Game 1 of the 2002 Division Series. The wild card champs, the Giants, against the champions from the East, the Atlanta Braves. 5 runs scored in the second inning. Giants got 3. The Braves got the next pair. These teams very closely matched during the regular season. They split 6 games, 3-3, and actually had a tie. A game that did not have to be made up, as it turned out. Gary Sheffield next. 3 balls and a strike, so a hitter's count for Franco. And he flies that one well hit to right center, but catchable. And Kenny Lofton into the alley. Out number 1. And for those just tuning in the second inning, well, the Giants looked like they were going to blow it open. That was a big double by J.T. Snow to drive in a couple of runs. They strung together 4 straight hits. Santiago, Sanders, Snow, and Bell to take a 3-0 lead. Then with the bases loaded, Tom Glavine knocked one inside the third base bag. 2 runs scored on the play. Bonds throws striking Castilla. Barry Bonds charged with an error there. And Tom Glavine, the Atlanta starter, helping with the bat. So far today, Gary Sheffield is 0 for 1. He's grounded to short. Sheffield 5 for 14 against Ortiz. And 3 of those hits have been home runs.
Sheffield still, I think, has some of the best bat speed in the game today. And as you can see, he's a guy that stands right on top of the plate. And so that fastball inside of talking to you about to Franco, he's got to have that pitch.
Strike.
And that's where he's got to go. But you got to be able to keep him honest. You got to keep these right-handed hitters honest and pitch them under their knuckles a little bit, so that when you do go away from him, you know, you got something to keep him honest with, so he won't be diving out over the plate.
With that menacing flick of the bat, as if he is daring the pitcher to come in there. And something Sheffield started in the minor league at Double-A while with Milwaukee in the 1980s, because he was pulling about 5 or 6 home runs foul every week, and he needed some mechanism to slow down his swing.
Yeah.
It was too fast.
He told me that story when he came to play for the Padres, and you know, you shake when you first hear it.
On a right field line, a lengthy run for Sanders. That one sailing toward the crowd and into the seats.
But when you watch him work, you watch him swing the bat, he's extremely strong. He's really got a good knowledge of the strike zone. And when he's going good, he's a lot like the best hitters in the game. They use the whole field to hit with power to the whole field. And he can wait almost absolutely to the last second before he brings that bat through the zone. And we used to say it was electric.
Ortiz 1-2 pitch. Did he check? No, he went. Strike 3. Home plate umpire Mike Riley rung up Sheffield. So he strikes out. That's the first whiff for Ortiz. And out number 2.
That's really a good pitch by Ortiz, going up the ladder on him a little bit. He's trying to establish this fastball inside. Misses on the first one. Gets the second one. Now you come back with the breaking ball. Fastball away. Go up the ladder a little bit, and you get it.
So Sheffield 0 for 2. You said coming into the ballgame he wanted to match Barry Bonds statistically, and he would judge his day based on that. As Chipper Jones takes one high, it's 2-0. Well, Bonds is 1 for 2, and Sheffield is hitless. Chipper Jones posting his 7th consecutive 100 RBI season. That is one away from the National League record, which is shared by Willie Mays, Mel Ott, and Sammy Sosa. But Barry Bonds would already have that record. It would be 9 in a row if not for the 94 players strike.
There's a lot of records, I think. If it wasn't for the 94 player strike.
Yeah, you might have had one
maybe
too.
A few, you know. But
you might have been the first guy since Williams to hit 400. It's ball 4 to Chipper. The second walk by Ortiz. The Braves have a base runner with 2 out. 3-2. San Francisco leading in the bottom of the 3rd. And Andrew Jones to dig in. Bobby Cox has managed more postseason victories than anyone in history. 59 of them. The Braves finishing with 101 wins this year. And Andrew Jones had a lot to say about that. 94 RBIs, leading the Braves in home runs.
One thing about Andrew, he's a little streaky this year. You know, he went the stretch there where he was basically carrying the load for this Braves team until Chipper kind of settled in left field, and guys got back healthy. Chef was out for a while, and I think it was his May and his September that was really his 2 best months.
1 for 1 today. That one toward the hole, but Bell gets it over to second base for the forced play. Side retired, 1 man left. So Tommy Glavine goes back to the hill. Day here in Atlanta, game 1 of the division series. And through the first 3 innings, it's the Giants up 3-2, out hitting the Braves by 1. No home runs in the contest, and probably the most surprising moment was Tommy Glavine's bases loaded double off of Dusty Baker's Giants. We come to bat here in the 4th inning with Reggie Sanders starting it. He is 1 for 1. Reggie Sanders facing the Braves. He's a familiar, if not necessarily a grateful face. Reggie spent probably the worst season of his career as an Atlanta Brave 2 years ago. Hit just .232, 11 homers, both career lows. And left Atlanta. He was on the DL twice that year. So it was painful in more ways than one.
Yeah, and he described it as such. Playing here in Atlanta, and the thing that his comments to me bring to light is that this is a big ballpark. This is not a small ballpark. I mean, 390 in the right center field gap, 380 in the left field gap. This is a big ballpark, and so but he was hurt a lot. Didn't have the kind of year that he thought he was capable of having. Goes to Arizona, has a great year. Comes to the Giants, has a good year.
Off the outside, 2 balls, 1 strike. So that patient approach against Glavine that you talked about at the very beginning of the broadcast, continuing here for the San Francisco Giants. The bottom of their order, in fact, the last half of their order has done all the damage so far today. Toward Castilla. Vinny very short-handed all year, committed just 6 errors, and Sanders is now 1 for 2. Well, don't miss the extreme illusions of Chris Angel in an all-new original special, Mind Freak, premiering Sunday, October 20th, part of the 13 nights of Halloween on ABC Family. Tony never misses Mind Freak. One of his favorites, and that's coming up, Tony.
It'll be right in front of the TV.
I know you will. I know you will. JT Snow with a 2-run double in the 2nd inning is 1 for 1. JT growing up in Southern California. He grew up playing all sports, but he fell in love with basketball early on. Of course, his father, Jack Snow, the former wide receiver of the Rams. JT says his dad convinced him that baseball and not basketball is where he ought to take his athletic pursuits. He said, I love you, and you can do anything you want, son, but if it's basketball, you may be a 9-to-5 guy in an office someday pretty soon. You may want to rethink this. And he did, and he was very grateful to his dad. Big swing and a miss. There are a bunch of sons on the field in this series whose dads played professional sports. You know about Barry Bonds, of course, his dad Bobby, an all-star. David Bell is the son and grandson of Buddy Bell and Gus Bell, both Major League stars. Rob Nen's dad, Dick Nen, was a first baseman for the Washington Senators in the 1960s. A lot of good bloodline up the middle. Lockhart gets there. Nice backhand play. 2 out.
Nice play by Lockhart there. You know, the key with Glavine, like I said at the beginning, you know, he's going to get a lot of ground balls. When he's hitting his spots, he's going to get ground balls. And so far, defensively, the infield's been able to make plays behind him.
So 2 away. That'll bring up David Bell, who is hitting 8 in Dusty Baker's lineup today. When you first got a look at his lineup, you were surprised he was that far down.
I really was. I thought that maybe he would move him up 6 or 7, and I think the reason why he was in the 8th spot is exactly what we saw there in the 2nd inning, where, you know, Santiago Sanders gets base hits, JT Snow doubles in 2. There he is hitting in front of the pitcher. You know, a guy who can be patient, a guy knowing that he's hitting in front of the pitcher's spot. He wanted somebody in that spot who can be patient and possibly, you know, take some pitches until he got a pitch he can handle, a drive and a run, and he did exactly that.
Got paid off with an RBI single in the 2nd inning. The Giants put up a 3-0 lead. Fastball inside, and there's that Swifty to the right-hand batter. Glavine never did that in 91, 92, 93. Don Sutton was talking about this and how that's a major change in Glavine's approach over the last 5 or 6 years.
Absolutely. And when you're throwing it from the third base side of the rubber.
Softly hit for the line drive into the outfield, and Bell is 2 for 2. So that 8 slot may agree with David Bell. I mean, he's hit in 6 spots in their lineup, including leading off 47 times, but 2 for 2 batting 8.
And to me, he's a very underrated player in this Giants lineup because he does the dirty work. You know, he's done a great job defensively for them. He's hit some big home runs, got some big hits. And really what he gives the Giants is a little bit of stability in the middle of their lineup normally. And today, it's in the 8th spot.
Russ Ortiz caught looking on a 3rd strike in the 2nd inning. But he can get a hold of one. He's hit 2 home runs this year and 4 of them since 98.
We talked about what kind of bunter he was last time up. He's a much better hitter than he is bunter.
Yeah, he doesn't mind the situation as much. 2 out and a runner on. As mentioned, the bottom of the order for San Francisco has been rather deadly against Glavine today. The top guys, Lofton, Aurelia, Kent, and Bonds, haven't done much against the 36-year-old. Little looper backing out for call. He won't get it. That's another hit. It drops in. Bell into 3rd. The throw, the tag, not in time.
And that's what I mean by a very underrated player. This ball was hit right off the end of the bat, and with 2 outs, David Bell took off. And he, from the moment he left first base, he was going to put the pressure on Chipper Jones to make the play. And Glavine throws him a little changeup away. He just gets enough of it to get it over for Call's head. And look at David Bell hustling, putting the pressure, saying, Chipper Jones, if you want to get me out, you're going to have to throw me out.
And look at Sonny Jackson, the 3rd base coach of the Giants. Jerry Lane leaning on him, a Lane leaner, and he just buried him over there at 3rd base.
And Sonny Jackson's laying on his side saying, get down, get down.
Oh, he got down himself. He had no choice. Lofted up the middle. It gets by Glavine into the outfield. That chases in Bell. So 3 consecutive hits, and again, the bottom of the order is doing it against Glavine. Lofton with an RBI single out of the leadoff hole, and it's 4-2 San Francisco.
And once again, the key to that play, the key to Lofton getting a base hit here is David Bell going 1st to 3rd on a base hit to center field. Hits it right back up the box, and with Bell standing on 3rd base, it's a heck of a lot easier to score him than he would have been if he was at 2nd.
So he drives in Bell, and before that hit, Kenny Lofton had been 0 for 13 in his career off of Glavine. The Giants trying to keep it rolling. Aurelia, a gap shot, slicing away from Jones, and it's between the outfielders. Here comes Ortiz in to score. Lofton screaming around 3rd. He will score. And once again, the Giants are chasing Tom Glavine. Aurelia with a 2-run double. And the Giants lead it 6-2 here in the 4th inning. Well, he's been punishing Glavine throughout his career, hitting near 400 off him.
And he takes this fastball out over the plate, drives it the other way. And that ball was kind of hooking away or slicing away from Andrew Jones.
That is 6 runs and 9 hits off of Tom Glavine. And it's only the 4th inning, and it brings out Leo Mazzoni far too early for his taste.
I'm sure Tommy Glavine's a little frustrated with himself. The process I think he's trying to do is right. He's just getting too much of the plate, and the Giant hitters are putting the bat on the ball and hitting them where they ain't. So good hitting by Lofton, good hitting by Aurelia there. But really the key play that set up this inning is David Bell going first and third on a base hit by Ortiz.
Right here, Kevin Grabowski begins to get ready for that superb Atlanta bullpen, but very early in the contest. It is the 2nd time in the game the Giants have strung together 4 consecutive hits in an inning. Here's Kent. He becomes the 7th man to hit here in the 4th off Glavine. Back to the screen for strike 1. So Aurelia at second base. He's 1 for 3 with a 2-run double. JT Snow also has a 2-run double.
I think watching Jeff Kent take a swing there, he was trying to go the other way. He wasn't trying to pull that ball either. So the game plan for the Giants must be get a ball out over the plate and take it the other way.
1-1. Kent is a guy who will get pitches to hit, unlike the man behind him. Jeff Kent all season long was walked intentionally 3 times. What a great spot to hit it. I mean, that is the catbird season.
You gotta love it. I mean, Barry Bonds obviously is the best offensive player, I think, in the game. And to be able to bat in front and behind him has got to be a big thrill. You're going to get pitches to hit. They're not all going to be fastballs, but they're going to be balls that you can put your bat on.
Yeah, and Kent doesn't miss that chance to drive in a run very often. To count 3-1.
And then the other thing for these guys, for the Giants facing the Braves staff, they face these guys a lot. They've had plenty of at-bats. They have 7 guys in their starting lineup with 25 or more at-bats against the Braves pitchers. And so
all 4, so Kent is walked first and second, 2 out in front of Barry Bonds. And so a huge inning could be developing here for the Giants. Bonds 1 for 2, but striding to the plate as the most intimidating hitter since Babe Ruth. And Glavine will have to pitch to him.
Well, he has third base open, and he doesn't have to. Then being down 6-2, the last thing you want is for this game to be 9-2. So I don't expect them to give him very much to hit.
Well, as John Smoltz said the other day, I mean, you can pitch to him and still walk him.
Yeah.
Swinging a drive out to left center. Coming on, Andrew Jones, who will make the catch. Side retired. Bonds just missing the gap there. But the Giants didn't miss much in the inning. They scored 3 times and now lead it 6-2. Back in Atlanta on ABC Family, and delighted to throw it downstairs to the 3rd member of our crew today, Brian Kenny. He is sitting by with a very special guest. Brian.
Hey, Dave, Tony, thank you very much. I'm with former President Jimmy Carter, and as Mr. President, you said it could have been worse last inning, huh?
Well, with Barry Bonds coming up, it could have been a lot worse, but 4 runs is not bad, as the Twins proved last night. They came from 5-1 back to win, so I have confidence in the Braves. I
know you've watched so many games. I know you're a big Braves fan, and you've seen all the excellence with the Glavine, Maddox, and Smoltz era. Some of your favorite memories as a Braves fan?
Well, early this year, Maddox and Smoltz and Tommy all signed baseball for the little town of Plains. So that's very extraordinary to have 3 Cy Young winners, sign one baseball. So we are raising money for our little town. So it just is proof of how much in the community the Braves players are. They're good guys, and they make friends with fans.
I know the President's watching this at Bat Gut. Dave, we'll be here, but go ahead.
Well, the batter, Javi Lopez, thank you, man. He's 0 for 1, having popped up, and he's going to do so again. Lofton looking up into that sun today and makes the grab for the out, 1 away.
Mr. President, I know who are your favorite players growing up? Now you turned 78 yesterday. Happy birthday. So a little older than most people figure. You go back before Stan Musial then.
Well, yeah, I do. The hero of Georgia, although he was a little bit after his time, was Ty Cobb. And, of course, Babe Ruth and the others were. And then when I was first in the Navy was when television first came along, and my wife and I were very, very avid Yankee fans.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So
From down here, you're a Yankee fan.
well, we were actually, I was in submarine school up in Connecticut. So we would go to the games every now and then, and they had little tiny black and white TV screens, and we used to watch every one of the games that the Yankees played.
Dave, go ahead.
The 1-0 pitch to Castilla down low. A question for the president, Brian, and that is, having been a big fan of Babe Ruth and obviously a fan of Bonds, although lesser today, how does he compare the two? Who would he pick, the Babe or Barry Bonds?
Well, Mr. President, Dave O'Brien asks if you could compare Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds, which is what we're all doing now. You go ahead. You're in a better position to do it.
I don't think any player has ever had a better season in the history of the game than Barry Bonds had this year. And if he's not the most valuable player, I'll sure be surprised and disappointed. But he's just been extraordinary, you know, in his average and also in his home runs, RBIs. I think he's just proven that even as his age has increased, he's gotten better and better. So he's just formidable. And Babe Ruth will always be more famous than Barry Bonds, but nobody can have a better season than he's had this year.
I think you're absolutely right. Mr. President, it's been an honor. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Dave?
Brian, President Carter, thank you very much, gentlemen. 6-2 San Francisco with the lead here. Barry Bonds, if he does win that 5th MVP, you have to try to put it into perspective. That would be as many as Michael Jordan won in the NBA. Wayne Gretzky won 9 in the NHL, but you're talking about an athlete in that class now.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to fathom. I was listening to the former president talk about that, and you know, he has just been an amazing player, and he's gotten better as he's gotten older. And
Rake foul by Lockhart, who has walked intentionally in the 2nd inning so they could load the bases and pitch to Glavine, and he spoiled that strategy. Glavine did by ripping the double.
And the thing that still, to me, is that's even more amazing is he seems to be having more fun doing it now than he did early in his career, and he just continues to get better. And so
Lockhart loops a foul out of play, nothing in 2.
there's really no telling how many more times he can win this award, because you know he wants to play. You know he's got other things out there that he'd like to do. You know, he'd love to catch his godfather, Willie Mays, and I think deep down, I think he'd like to get a little bit further along the list. And you saw that last stat. I know he wants to get to 500 stolen bases, although it might come a few far between now.
He needs 47 home runs to catch Willie Mays. Barry now with 613 regular season home runs. And yeah, he talks about that. He doesn't talk as much unless he's asked about it as far as catching Hank Aaron for the all-time record. That one fly deep down the right field line. It is hooking foul, but a pretty good poke. We talked about Lockhart and his occasional power, and if you make a mistake, he can hurt you with it. He's only hit 5 home runs, but that one just foul.
A little bit out in front of that and hooked it down the line foul, but the Braves have sent Bragg out in the on-deck circle, so if he's able to prolong the inning, that's all we're going to see from Tommy Glavine today.
Strike 3 call, pinned to the outside corner, and Ortiz responds after getting the run support with a quick inning. It is 6-2 San Francisco. In a couple of innings, the Giants have pounced on Tom Glavine. He remains on the hill to pitch here into the 5th, but trails 6-2. And he's allowed 9 hits, and one of those to this man, Benito Santiago, who's gone 1 for 2. He'll be followed by Sanders and then Snow. Remember, the Giants came into October rolling. They had won 8 consecutive games to close the regular season. And Tony, they were 25-8 down the stretch to take that wild card over the Dodgers. Get into right center, and it falls down for a hit. Benito Santiago was swinging a very hot bat at the tail end of the year with a single, and now some of the crowd of about 35 or 40,000 starts to get restless. Glavine giving up his 10th hit.
You know, once again, Glavine's strong suit is the outside part of the plate, and the Giant hitters are not standing there trying to pull it. They're just going to go with it, and he lines this ball into right center field for a base hit.
That'll bring up Reggie Sanders. He is 1 out of 2 on the day. A single in the 2nd inning. Incidentally, our thanks to President Carter, who joined Brian Kenny down in the stands, and the president gutting out a hot day in the sunshine. We want to mention that he has a website. You can bid on Braves Cy Young baseballs. Here's the site. Go to plainsgeorgia.com. plainsgeorgia.com for the bid. The president would like us to pass that along, and when the president asks, Tony?
Absolutely.
Tap toward Castilla. They'll feed Lockhart. One on to first, not in time for the double play. Sanders still runs pretty well. Well, coming up tomorrow, more division baseball playoff activity. It's the Cardinals against the Diamondbacks at 4 o'clock Eastern on ABC Family. That'll be Chuck Finley against Kurt Schilling. All of a sudden, a must-win for the Diamondbacks. They were trounced last night. And it'll be the Giants and the Braves, 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. Now, Kevin Millwood will go for Atlanta. Greg Maddux has been pushed back to Game 3 because of a blister. This was a late developing problem on the index finger of his pitching hand. And so it'll be Maddux in Game 3 and Millwood in Game 2.
I think that works out good for the Braves, too, because Maddux, is a veteran pitcher. I'm sure he wanted to throw tomorrow. And, gives Millwood a chance to pitch at home. Maddux has handled pitching on the road many times. And so I don't think them having to switch really hurts Atlanta that bad.
You don't think that? I mean, Millwood's a fly ball pitcher, and that big ballpark where it's hard to hit anything out in San Francisco. Not that this is not a big park, it certainly is, but you don't think it changes anything?
I really don't, because I think Millwood has really kind of come back to pitching like he pitched a couple years ago, and I think this staff is veteran enough where it really doesn't have that big of an impact on him. Although I'm sure in Bobby's mind he's got to feel a lot more comfortable knowing he's got a veteran guy like Maddux going on the hill in Game 3 on the road, in the opposition's ballpark. He's going to feel pretty good about that too.
Runner goes, a comebacker. Glavine looked at second, but no time to make that play because they had sent the runner. And so they stay out of a double play. Tommy Glavine has not made an error since the summer of 1999. He must be the best fielding pitcher never to win a Gold Glove because he's on the same staff with Maddux.
That's exactly, because his teammate has been stealing them all. And look at him, he's in the perfect position, takes a look at second, thinks about it, goes to first.
And so the pitcher coming up after David Bell, they'll put Bell on, and he'll reach base for the third time today. A pair of singles his first 2 times up. By the way, Greg Maddux went to Bobby Cox today and tried to talk Bobby into allowing him to pitch in Game 2. He was ready to go even with the blister. And Bobby said, no, we're not going to chance it. We need you a little healthier. And he backed him off to Game 3. But I think Mad Dog made his point.
Yeah, well, moving him back another day gives him 2 extra days. He gets tomorrow and then the off day to have that, to get that blister a chance to heal. Puts him in a better position for Game 3. So now you got the situation where Braves are already down 6-2. Reggie Sanders running on that ground ball back to Glavine keeps him out of the double play. They walk David Bell. Here's another guy, another pitcher coming up to the plate who can handle the bat.
And this will be the last inning for Tom Glavine, the pitcher. His spot scheduled to lead off in the bottom of the 5th.
So you don't want it to be any more than 4 right now. So Glavine's going to have to make some pitches.
Strike 1 to Ortiz, 1 for 2 with a single. Back in the 4th. Glavine finished up the regular season with 242 wins. His first win next season ties him with Juan Marichal on the all-time wins list. But Glavine came into today with a losing record in the playoffs, a 12-13 mark, although he's pitched better than that indicates in most of those appearances. But today they've gotten him for 6 runs and 10 hits.
He has to locate. He has to put the ball where he needs to put it in order to win. He's not going to overpower it. But I think the thing that works against him and Maddux more so than some of these other teams in the postseason is that these guys have got a lot of at-bats against Glavine. They've got a lot of at-bats against Maddux. They've faced him during the regular season.
2-1 backed him off, but hit the corner, 2-2.
And that's the pitch he really should throw a little bit more of because he's trying to get these guys to chase that off-speed stuff outside. and he's got to come in. You got to be able to keep him honest. And when a 2-1 count, he came inside there and got it even.
Here's pitch number 86. He strikes out Ortiz, but maybe a little too late for Glavine to come to that realization. 2 men left. It's leading by 4 in Division Series Game 1 in Atlanta. We're taking you to the bottom of the 5th inning. Our game track featured J.T. Snow early, a 2-run double in the 2nd inning as the Giants jumped out in front of Tom Glavine. 3-0, but Glavine fought back himself with the bases loaded. He knocked the double inside the line. That scored 2. Vinny Castilla sliding in with a 2nd run. But then the Giants, they've had 2 big innings. The 4th, they scored 3 times in that frame. Rich O'Reilly with a 2-run double there. And it is 6-2 San Francisco. Tommy Glavine's day is done. Darren Bragg will bat for him. Bottom of the 5th. Russ Ortiz has held Atlanta to 4 hits. Much sharper than the master of the Braves hill, at least from the left-hand side, Tom Glavine. There's Hammond warming up in the bullpen as we speak for the Braves. So they will turn to the pen. Bragg for call, and then Julio Franco hitting in this inning.
The key for Russ Ortiz is just throwing strikes like he's doing. He's got a nice cushion to work with. He can afford to be a little bit more aggressive and throw strikes. Make these guys on the Braves team, make them swing the bats, make them try to swing the bats and make something happen.
The 0-2 is just outside. Chris Hammond, we just saw warming up, a great story. He retired from baseball for 2.5 years and went home to his wife and his kids. He just quit baseball. He had had enough. Ground ball softly. Kent there in time. 1 away. And then one day his wife looked at him and said, you know what? The kids have never seen you play. You've been out of the game that long, and I think they'd love to see you pitch again. Well, here he is, not only pitching, but having a brilliant year for the Atlanta Braves and the best bullpen that Atlanta has ever had since this championship run started in 1991. Here's Rafael for call, 1 for 2, a single and a flyout.
You really think that's how it started? His wife said that the kids hadn't seen you pitch?
I think that's how most good things come to pass. The missus says something that gets you thinking the way you want to be thinking. That's the way it works in my house.
Mine too.
And I know it works that way in your house. I'm absolutely convinced of that. You're just like me, and that's the way it ought to be.
Yeah.
She said, you know, the kids want to see you pitch, and get out of the house.
Get out of the house.
Just get out of here and go find something to do, and he did.
I think you know, I'm sure that's true, but I'm sure inside he had to be feeling like, you know what, I think I could still do this. I think I can go out and be successful. I think I can help somebody, because I'm not going to lie, as a retired guy, you sit at home thinking sometimes, hey, you know, I might be able to pinch hit or do some things.
That's got to have popped into your mind more than once this past season.
Of course.
Your first year in retirement.
Yeah. And so, but 2.5 years, I think, to be a little bit further down the road thinking, well, you know, I've been out of it for 2.5 years, and to have him come back and have the type of year that he's had this year is, I mean, it's truly an amazing thing. An ERA of less than 1, I mean, it doesn't happen.
Hasn't allowed an earned run since before the All-Star break. You got to be kidding me. The 2-2 pitch. Up and away for a call. Trying to get on here. Runs the count to 3-2. 1 out in the 5th. Now, if you ask Gary Sheffield when Atlanta's season turned around, going from sub-500 to complete control of the National League East, he'll tell you it started when Furcal really started to play good defense. Early in the season, he made 13 errors in the Braves' first 38 games. He was just miserable out there. Then he buckled down, made just 1 error in the next 45 games, and Sheffield said that's when Atlanta really began to play well. At the time, in the middle of May, they were under 500, and then they went 82-38 the rest of the season to run away from the division.
I think that's understandable, too, because with Glavine and Maddox and Millwood, you know, they're basically ground ball guys. They're guys who throw hitters' timing off, get them out in front, so the infield defense becomes vital, you know, and so when you're making errors, all you're doing is giving the opposition extra at-bats, and that's going to make it tough to win ball games, because these are big league teams.
McCall knocks that one to Bonds. On the back pedal, he will snatch it. And so the bases will be empty in front of Julio Franco. More playoff action coming your way. 4 o'clock Eastern. The Twins and A's game 2 on ABC Family. Minnesota looked dreadful early yesterday, but overcame those mistakes to beat the A's in game 1. And then on Fox at 8 o'clock Eastern, it's the Angels and the Yankees game 2. Bernie Williams with a big blast late, and the Yankees come from behind victory last night. 2 down for Julio Franco, who is hit into a double play and flied out. So he is 0 for 2. And among the top 4 Braves hitters, only 1 hit today. That was Rafael Percal with a first inning single.
Yep. And Russ Ortiz has done a nice job of working his way through the 1 through 4 hitters, 1 through 5 hitters. He's only given up 2 hits between those 5 guys. And make it 3 hits.
A single for Franco. So he reaches for the first time on this Wednesday afternoon. And so Sheffield will hit with a man on and be looking for the big fly here. Now, during the regular season, the Giant pitching staff surrendered the fewest home runs in the major leagues. Of course, Pac Bell was the toughest ballpark to homer in all of baseball.
Yes. Big ballpark.
Which just makes what Bonds does these last several years even more remarkable.
Absolutely.
It is one stingy part. Sheffield can hit it out of anywhere. Ball 1 to Gary.
And this is where, if the Braves are going to get back in the game, it's going to be a little bit easier to do that when you're facing Russ Ortiz from the stretch. He becomes a little bit more deliberate. Takes his time a little bit more. But when the middle part of the lineup is up, there's not going to be many opportunities to steal bases. And this is where he tends to start to nibble a little bit. And so the hitters are going to be ahead of the count, and they're going to get pitches that they can do some damage with.
No damage yet for Sheffield. He's grounded out and struck out. But he has blistered San Francisco this year. 12 hits in 26 at-bats. A .462 average against the Giants. So you think playing against his mentor, Barry Bonds, doesn't get Sheffield going? It certainly does.
Yeah. That guy right there, he's just at a different level. It's hard to keep up with anything he does, but that's the challenge of these postseason games. Is, you got to try to. He's the big cog in the Braves lineup. He's got to do his share too.
3-1. Sheffield says of being a Brave, he says, we still feel we are the best team in the world. Looking in people's eyes in this clubhouse, you can see it. I guarantee you nobody in the clubhouse doesn't believe we're not going to win the World Series. Trying to check, tapped it foul as it caught a piece of the bat, and it's 3-2.
Ortiz has had those situations where he had to throw a strike to Sheffield. He's gone up in the zone. And he knows that Sheff's a very aggressive hitter, and even though they haven't been strikes, he's been able to get 2 strikes on him going up in the zone. So with 3-2 here, he's going to have to make a quality pitch, but we've seen already he isn't afraid to go up in the zone.
Julio Franco to get head start at first base. He takes off, and it's ball 4. Atlanta trying to build an inning. It's been a lengthy inning already for Ortiz. He's thrown 21 pitches, and he doesn't have that 3rd out yet. And now he'll have to square off against Chipper Jones.
Let's take a look at the pitch sequence again on Sheffield. That's a slider away. Fastball down. Fastball on the outside corner. Fastball up for ball 3. Fastball up. Tries to hold back. Slider away. And so in those situations where he needed to throw a strike, he's gone up in the zone to Sheffield. And a lot of times that's a dangerous thing to do.
Here's the cleanup man. Down into the dirt for ball 1. Chipper Jones has grounded out and walked today, and he has scuffled against Ortiz. Dave Righetti, the pitching coach, is going to trot out to the hill.
One of the things Righetti's going to tell him when he gets out there is, hey, take a nice deep breath. you're going to have to throw strikes here. You know, you got Chipper Jones hitting, you got Andrew Jones on deck. You know, you're going to have to pick your poison here. You're going to have to go out and throw some strikes. So take a deep breath, relax, and go after it.
Dusty Staff finished second in the National League to the Braves in earned run average at 3.54 ERA. And Ortiz, a 14-game winner. Trying to wriggle out of trouble here in the fifth. 6-2 San Francisco. Cut on and missed. It's 1-1 on Chipper.
And that was a good pitch there. It wasn't his best fastball. He took a little bit off of that. It was about 87, 88 miles an hour. A little bit of run at the end. Looked like Chipper was looking for something middle in that he could turn on. And it was a little bit late.
They lead at first and second, and that's off the plate. The Giants have pitched more than effectively all season long. But Ortiz has not pitched into the ninth inning in a single game. Just trying to survive the fifth inning right now. The Giants have already knocked Glavine out of the ball game. He had himself a swing there. 2 balls and 2 strikes on another one up, and Chipper could not connect.
Now that looked like that split finger I was telling you about. Just kind of a heavy ball, just kind of change of pace type of pitch. He got it up, and Chipper was a little bit out in front of it.
Ortiz has pretty well owned him in their career battles. A high fly left center field, that will be caught. Lofton on the back pedal and shy of the track there to make the catch for out number 3. Atlanta with a threat, but they strand 2. So have made it through 5 innings in Atlanta in game 1, and it's the Giants up by 4 runs. With a 6-2 lead over the Atlanta Braves, and that is the left-hander Chris Hammond. Just had a tremendous year, terrific comeback. He led all major league relievers with a 0.95 earned run average, and did not allow an earned run in his last 32 games, starting with a contest at Boston on June 30th.
I'll tell you what, this is the first time his kids are getting a chance to watch him pitch. They ought to be proud. He's done a great job for Atlanta. Really bolstered their bullpen.
Former starter with Cincinnati, Florida, now working out of the bullpen, and delivers outside ball 1 to Kenny Lofton, who played a role in the 4th inning uprising for San Francisco, all with 2 out. They put together 4 straight hits. The Giants have done that twice in this game in a given inning. Lockhart into the hole to get it, and throws out Lofton. So 1 man out. Tony, you feel like doing the disclaimer today?
No, you go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Sutcliffe did it.
I know.
Morgan did it.
They all got more time than I get.
All right, have a little more courage.
All right.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Don't miss Inside the Moments from Major League Baseball. You can take part in Major League Baseball history. Vote for your most memorable moment at every Major League park or on MLB.com. You see, I've mastered that. I've done that about 70 times this year. I figured you might want to crack at it. It's the postseason. It's your time to shine.
I know the stuff between the lines. That's where I try to stay between the white lines.
Okay. Understood. Bunt by Aurelia, diving play. Hammond, he's up and throwing, and he's out at first base. What a great stab by Franco as well. But Hammond with the defensive gem of the game. Sprawling into no man's land. It's a hit if it gets by him. And he suffocated what would have been a bunt single by Aurelia.
I really thought that by Hammond's diving for the ball, that Vinny had an easier play. But he got up and got rid of it. He got the call.
Franco with a nice dig as well.
He got him, and it was a good call, too. I think Rich Aurelia was wondering, where's the help? Somebody's got to argue for me here, too. I thought I beat it.
Yeah, he thought it was close enough for a fight. Here's Jeff Kent. The only Giant without a hit today. He is 0 for 2 with a walk, but they haven't needed him yet. Barry Bonds has a hit. Aurelia has a big 2-run double. strike on Kent. Bonds would be the next batter up, but there are 2 away.
And that's the pitch for Hammond that really has allowed him to be as effective as he's been, is that changeup that he takes a lot off of. Most guys' changeups are in the 77, 78 mile per hour range. His varies from like 68 miles an hour to 72 miles an hour, and this
stroke toward left, dropping, and it's a fair ball just inside that chalk. Kent digs for a double, and he'll get 2 bases. So Jeff Kent becomes the last Giant, and that makes all of them now to come up with a hit.
And this was that changeup he threw, and it's out over the plate, and Jeff Kent kind of hooks it into the left field corner. Umpire pointing in the fair territory direction. And here's Barry Bonds, and they're not even going to take a chance.
Now they'll walk Bonds. So we're keeping track. That is his first intentional pass of the postseason. Barry 1 for 3 on the day. Led the majors with 68 intentional walks. That was more than 10 of the National League's 16 teams.
68.
That's right. More intentional walks this season than the Atlanta pitching staff issued. Total of 63 by the Brave staff, but they will not mess with him. And another very good reason is if he needed more than his incredible numbers, the batting crown at 370 and the 46 home runs and everything else, he has really beaten up Chris Hammond in his career, a 406 average. So Dusty Baker has seen this far more than he would like. 198 walks altogether on the year, and he walked in each of the last 18 regular season games, and that's a record. So Bonds aboard, Kent at second. You talked about it in the open. Someone has to make Atlanta pay the price for putting Bonds on, and it's Benito Santiago's chance, and a very hot bat. He is 2 for 3 today.
So let's see if he changes his approach from that of Glavine, looking out over the plate and going the other way.
Fly ball right center, racing back Jones, still on the run. That one sailing over his head, and they do make him pay. Here comes Kent. Bonds right behind him. Kent scores. Throw home. Won't get him. 2 runs in. And the Giants are starting to put this one out of reach. They lead it 8-2.
And what we almost had there was, Jeff Kent forgetting to realize there were 2 outs. And Barry Bonds is running on contact. On a good changeup, he just kind of got it up, and Benito does the right thing. He goes with it. And then you had the track meet coming around second base.
And you have a pumped up Benito Santiago with his 3rd hit of the day.
And I'm sure Benito's taking it as a challenge too. They're going to walk Bonds to get to me. Okay, that's fine. Then I got to do some damage. I got to try to put the ball in play. And the Giants' approach has been excellent. They've gone the other way all day long today.
Reggie Sanders trying to keep it going. A win today would be 9 consecutive victories for the sizzling Giants. They knocked Tommy Glavine out after 5 innings. And now they've jumped on Hammond. They've gotten him for 2 earned runs. This is a guy who had not given up an earned run since the end of June. Benito Santiago very big in the attack, as he was throughout their late season run when they won the wild card. Santiago coming up with the most RBIs by a Giant catcher since Bob Brenly in 1984, when Brenly drove in 80 runs for San Francisco.
And the other thing it does for the Giants is it lets them know that, hey, if they do go to the bullpen, we can put runs on the board off the guys in the bullpen too. Like I said, Hammond hadn't given up a run since June, and here he gives up 2 in 2/3 of an inning.
1-1. Sanders checks. Make no mistake, there is extra pressure on the shoulders of Dusty Baker. He is not signed beyond the end of this year to continue and manage the San Francisco Giants. And he is 1-6 in the playoffs in his career. And a Giant win in this series against Atlanta would be especially sweet for Dusty Baker. Pop up, but that'll drift foul and out how to play. You may recall the 1993 San Francisco Giants. That was Dusty's first year as the manager. They won 103 games, but the Braves caught them at the end and won the division. That was the old National League West.
Right.
Atlanta had a situation where they were trailing by 10 games in late July. It looked like the Giants were going to cruise, but that was a very, very bitter pill for Dusty to swallow.
And, you know, Dusty has done a wonderful job for the San Francisco Giants, but he hadn't had his share of success in the postseason. So, you know, I think he feels like it's important to put a run together and get there.
Well, they're off and running today. 3-2 the count on Sanders. J.T. Snow would bat next. 2 runs in for San Francisco, ahead 8-2. They have out-hit the Braves 12-5.
And they look relaxed, too. I mean, I watched them in batting practice today, and they were pretty calm, and I think they realized where they were at, and I think they realized how they were going to try to go about getting this done.
Fought off foul. I know Kevin Millwood, who will pitch in Game 2 of the series, has had an excellent year. Big comeback year for him. But does it give San Francisco a mental edge? They win this one going into Game 2, knowing they won't have to face Maddox until Game 3.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does because I think it does in the sense that they know Millwood's the different guy out of Maddox, Glavine, and Millwood, because he's a guy he's an overpowering guy. Fastball, slider, changeup, and he's not as much of a nibbler as Glavine and Maddox are, but that's their style, you know. And facing Millwood tomorrow, I don't think they would be concerned facing anybody. I think they're just going to go out there and try to play their game and play the type of baseball they played at the end of the year when the Dodgers were right on their tail and they had to fight them off, and they did that. And so, getting here to the postseason, I don't think they're going to change their game plan at all.
Well, Bobby Cox is coming out, but the trainer is already there, along with the home plate umpire Mike Riley. This is an injury visit to see if something might be up with Hammond, who has been so sharp, and they're going to call to the bullpen right now. He has been so good for so long, and in this inning, he's allowed 2 doubles, and obviously his command is off. He has walked a couple, and he's going to walk off the hill. So it looks like Grabowski is coming on. 8-2 San Francisco, and bidding for more here in the 6th inning. And we'll be back here to Game 1 in Atlanta in a moment. Braves fans in less than sold-out Ted Turner Field for Game 1. A little disappointed. 8-2 San Francisco. Kevin Grabowski will replace Chris Hammond, who had to leave the ball game because of an injury situation or perhaps an illness thing. And Brian Kenny, the 3rd man on our crew here in the ballpark. Hopefully we'll get some information on that and why Hammond had to leave the contest. But Bobby Cox had to make an unscheduled trip out there to lift him. Hammond obviously not himself as brilliant as he has been through most of the season. He's given up 2 doubles and walked 2 in this inning, and both men aboard belong to him. Santiago and Sanders. Here's J.T. Snow. He has a 2-run double on his resume today, and he takes a strike. The last 5 San Francisco runs have all been scored with 2 out. They chased Tommy Glavine after 5 innings. A short outing for the left-handed ace. 1 ball and 1 strike on Snow.
And I know these 2 runs after you've built an 8-2 lead seem like an insignificant couple of runs out there, but you want to cash in as many runs as you can. I mean, it's the postseason, and when you get opportunities, you want to cash them in.
Line well hit to left, but Jones with a play, chipper in on it, and that'll do it. 2 men left, but the Giants tack on 2 more runs, and they lead it by half a dozen. Here on the Braves home turf at the 10. 8-2 San Francisco. Pouncing on the Atlanta Braves. 8-2 as we bring you the bottom half of the 6th inning at Ted Turner Field in Atlanta. Benito Santiago has had a big day in the 2nd inning. He came up with a base hit to start that rally with 1 down. They would score 3 in the frame. In the 5th inning, he was at it again with a base hit. But his biggest hit, a 2-run double in the 6th. Chasing home Kent and Bonds, and that was moments after Bonds had been walked intentionally. And Santiago responded A little pressure on himself, and he winds up with a huge hit in that one. And you said at the top of the show, someone else has to make them pay, Tony.
And that's, I think, Benito's statement that he's making today. He's saying, hey, if you want to walk Barry Bonds, that's fine, but you're going to have to make quality pitches to get me out. He's gotten 3 hits today, all of them to the right side of the diamond. And if he can swing the bat like that in this whole series and have guys behind him swing the bat the way they swing the bat, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
An all-star this season. And an all-star kind of a day for the Giant catcher. Andrew Jones kicking off the bottom of the 6th against Russ Ortiz. And there's a roller to Bell. There's short-handed, he throws him out. And there's the other half of the story, the performance of Russ Ortiz. He has allowed 2 runs, 5 hits. The only time the Braves got him, and it was the pitcher, Tommy Glavine, who did it, was with the bases loaded in the 2nd inning. Glavine stroking a double inside 3rd. And since that point, he's allowed 1 hit. That's all.
And he's really kind of weathered the storm. He's been, in some jams, but he's made quality pitches to get out of them. And, he got this nice cushion to work with. And when you do, the key is just throwing strikes. And when you can throw strikes and work both halves of the plate, and you got defenders like he's got playing behind him, it seems like your job would be a whole lot easier.
It's kind of interesting listening to Dusty Baker and his rationale for starting Ortiz in game 1. Aside from the fact that Ortiz is a very good road pitcher, 9-6 this year. So 9 of his 14 wins. He said he really likes his tenacity and his total commitment. And he also pointed out that because Russ is a very religiously committed individual, very strong faith, I mean, Dusty really admires that about him. He thinks it helps when he goes to the mound as well. Dusty, of course, a child of the 60s. He has some very interesting philosophies. Kind of a Phil Jackson side to him in managing the Giants. A pop-up by Lopez. Over the center of the diamond. Kent out to get it. And there are 2 away. Let's go downstairs and check in with Brian Kenny for an update. Brian?
Yeah, Dave, Bobby Cox just told me that Chris Hammond had neck spasms, spasming like crazy. He said after he made that great play on Richard Riley on that bunt play, and that was the first earned run given up, by the way, by a National League team for Hammond since May 13th against these same San Francisco Giants. Dave?
Well, terrific play, but he paid for it.
He did.
Thank you, Brian. And we'll see how that affects Atlanta the rest of the way. Their bullpen, as Castilla tried to check but couldn't. That's strike 1. The bullpen, such a huge part of Atlanta's success. The lowest ERA out of that pen in the majors, 2.60. And Holmes, another great story, a guy who came back from back surgery, severe back surgery, to pitch so well for Cox. Let's see Juan Castilla. Then he 1 for 2 with a single in the 2nd inning. Atlanta has been held to 5 hits.
Ortiz just looks relaxed out there. He's throwing strikes. He's working ahead. He's hitting his locations. And, it's not surprising to hear you say that about Dusty Baker kind of being Phil Jackson-like, because I think players have thought that for years. Because he gets the most out of his guys year in, year out, whether they've went out and made some deals or not. These guys, they come to play, and they play their hearts out for him.
And not surprising to hear a guy like Dusty Baker, who has survived prostate cancer, talking about that kind of commitment and the religious faith of his pitcher Russ Ortiz and the important role it plays in. The 1-2 pitch, fly to left center. A lazy pop to Bond. And Ortiz zips through the 6th inning. He is looking like a right-hander in total command. And he leads it 8-2 going to the 7th in Atlanta. And the batter is David Bell. And as you look at the 5 through 9 part of the San Francisco order, Benito Santiago has had the biggest day of all of them as the 5 hitter. He's 3 for 4. Reggie Sanders, a single and a walk, has reached twice. JT Snow with a 2-run double is the 7 hitter. And Bell has been on base all 3 times he stepped in. He has singled twice and drawn an intentional walk. And even the pitcher, Russ Ortiz, who's up next, he has stroked a single. Most Most of that damage came off of Tom Glavine, surprisingly enough. He lasted just 5 innings, giving up 6 runs and 10 hits. And it is 8-2 San Francisco in command in Game 1 of the division series.
If you're Dusty Baker, you got to really feel good about the bottom half of your lineup stepping up and getting some big hits like they've gotten today. You know, Benito Santiago with a double, JT Snow with a double, David Bell a couple of hits. You know, that's a luxury that you really need to have in a series like this, where the focus is really on the top half of the lineup. The bottom half of the lineup has done the damage.
Of course, it is only a 5-game series, and winning Game 1 is so big, but it may be critical for Atlanta. If you look at the Braves' long postseason experience, since 1991, they've played 21 playoff series. In 17 of those, whatever the result of Game 1 was the same as the series result. So based on that, Game 1 even more important for Atlanta. The Braves have lost a Game 1 9 times. They won that series only twice. The 91 NLCS and the 99 division series against Houston. They've done very well overall in division series with a 6-1 record.
18-5 overall. One of those series was a 3-0 sweep by the Cardinals. I mean, they've done very well in this part of the playoffs. And losing today is not going to, it's not going to kill Atlanta. They're going to come back and they're going to play their kind of baseball. I mean, they had the best record in the National League this year, and they did it playing a certain brand of baseball, which today, they haven't got. Glavine gave up some runs early, and the Giants have just basically found some holes out there and been able to capitalize. But this club is not going to fold this team. It's going to hang in there. It's going to come back and play the kind of baseball they played all year long.
Lebowski's 2-2, fouled off, fought off by Bell. Russ Ortiz in the on-deck circle will bat next, and then Kenny Lofton. Giants have certainly had a lot of trouble with Atlanta over the last couple of years. You go back to 95, and they are but 25-45 since that season against the Braves. So they really needed this to be able to come out and swing the bats so effectively today and knock an ace off the hill so early. 3-2 on Bell.
I agree with you completely. I think coming into this season, I mean, they were the last team to qualify in the National League. And even though they have Bonds on their team, I think they felt like they were a team that really wasn't getting a whole lot of respect. They felt like, they have a quality club too, and stepping into the postseason, this was their opportunity to show people what they can do.
Bell pops it up toward right. Lockhart underneath it. First man retired here in the 7th inning. College football coming up on ESPN2 tomorrow, presented by Circuit City. It's Clemson against number 11 Florida State, and then Illinois and Minnesota on ESPN2 at 8 o'clock. That's college football tomorrow on ESPN and ESPN2. One gone for Ortiz. He is 1 out of 3 with a single and a pair of strikeouts. 8 runs on 12 hits for San Francisco. 2 runs across, just 5 hits for the Braves. And the one error committed by Barry Bonds on a throw to home plate. A tough error.
Tough error.
It was a pretty good peg by Bonds. It just happened to strike the runner, but it was right on target.
Really, that's really one of the only mistakes they've made today, because offensively they've done a nice job. Turned a double play. Ortiz has been throwing strikes. All the pieces of the puzzle have fit really nicely for the Giants today.
1-2, blue foul out of play. Tony, it just seems as if the Aces are getting beat up in Game 1. Hudson for Oakland, 5 1/3, 4 earned. Randy Johnson last night just did not have good location at all. The Cardinals tagged him, and Glavine today, same story.
Yeah. Well, Glavine today, I mean, I didn't see all of the Arizona St. Louis game, But he did give up a couple of home runs, or gave up a home run to Scott Rowland in that game. But today the Giants really haven't just blistered the ball; they just hit it where they weren't playing. JT Snow kind of got jammed, hit a ball down the line. Benito kind of carved one to right center in the gap that drove in two.
I'm shocked and a little disappointed, more than a little disappointed. You did not stay up for the entire game last night from Arizona.
Well, I was doing my homework. Last night. I watched maybe the first 4 innings.
Well, you were taught well by your mom and dad because you don't have the TV on while you're doing your homework. I do. And I have the grades to show for it, believe me, if you want to see my college transcript.
I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about transcripts, but...
2-2 pitch waved at and missed by Ortiz, and he fans for the 3rd time. They're 2 away.
I think I saw the first 3 innings. It was 5-2. And Randy just wasn't locating. He wasn't hitting his spots. He was getting the ball up. And really, it's not so much location, I don't think. I think it's more elevated. When you elevate the ball to good hitters, they take advantage of that.
Well, I say proudly that I stayed up the entire game to watch the whole thing. Chris Berman and Rick Sutcliffe, guys that followed you all the way. Of course, they've got game 2 coming up tomorrow. St. Louis and Arizona in the desert. As the Diamondbacks, the defending world champs, are in the hole 1 game. Here's Kenny Lofton. 1 out of 4 with an RBI single. And like Barry Bonds and Reggie Sanders, Kenny is trying to clean up a cold postseason pass. He has hit just .217 over 6 Octobers. Just a .179 in the division series. But had an RBI single in the 4th.
This postseason thing, there's a lot to it. It's a lot tougher to go up in the postseason and get pitches to hit than it is in the regular season. The regular season, they're more apt to make a mistake, leave a ball in the middle of the plate. In the postseason, it's a lot more difficult. And they're just, no matter who you are, there's a game plan, and they're going to try to stick to it.
Grabowski's 0-2 pitch is off the outside corner. Kenny Lofton will be followed by Rich Aurelia if the inning is still alive. And Damian Moss, the left-hander, the Tom Glavine look-alike, warming up in the bullpen. He has basically been Glavine's shadow all season long. And that's worked out very well for young Damian Moss. 2-2 on Lofton.
I agree. I think Moss has got a chance to be a really good pitcher in this league. And why not pick the mind of a Tom Glavine or Greg Maddux or John Smoltz? I mean, these guys have been in this league a long time.
3-2 on Lofton. Especially if you're a left-hander, why not copy everything Tommy Glavine does? I mean, go to the same movies he goes to. Eat the same stuff he eats. I mean, buy a house right next door to Glavine. Glavine not a very good outing today, but a wonderful career, and hoping to get another crack at the Giants in this series. And a big part of all those flags up there, those pennants. 3-2 pitch ball, 4 to Lofton. Well, the Giants a couple of times today have started a rally with 2 out. Lofton is aboard with 2 down, and Aurelia the batter. Rich came up with a key hit in the 4th inning when Glavine was still on the mound, driving in 2 runs with a double. He is 1 for 4.
Kenny Lofton had a big hit in that inning. He singled in that first run of the 3-run 4th, and then Aurelia got the double. And so it's like we talked about, everybody around Bonds in this lineup today has contributed one way or the other. And I think for them to win, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the other guys stepping up there and making things happen on the offensive end.
So Aurelia in there and backs away from ball 1. Rich, about as New York as it gets. He was born in Brooklyn, raised about 10 minutes from Coney Island. He went to St. John's, where he was a finance major. After the '94 season, Aurelia worked as a stagehand for the Metropolitan Opera House, tearing down sets from midnight till dawn and then setting them up for the next performance to earn a little extra cash. He takes the ball outside, but after his 37 home run season last year, he had a lot more cash to combine with his collegiate knowledge. Had a big year and is very hot with a bat, and was at the very close of the season for the Giants.
And that's a big thing to have his bat going offensively, because now, you know, there's threats up and down the lineup. Putting him in the 2-hole, you know, he's a guy who can play hit and run, but also can hit the ball out of the ballpark. It is a luxury. It's a luxury to have a guy like that hitting in the 2-hole. When Kenny Lofton leading off and has the ability to run and steal a base, you got a guy who can hit behind the runner if he needs to, or, you know, he can work the count and get a ball out of the ball.
Kenny Lofton with 508 career stolen bases. 2 down here. Fouled off Aurelia's own foot. That squares the count at 2-2.
If Grabowski's not careful out here, they're going to call a balk on him. But he's coming set, and he isn't really pausing. He's like right on the verge of having that balk called on him. Jerry Lane over at third is keeping an eye on him. You can see when he comes set, there's supposed to be a pause.
And we'll see if we can pick it up here. The runner holds, and that's in for strike 3. So Aurelia fans, 1 man left. The fans in Atlanta will stretch, and now they're looking for some more runs against Russ Ortiz, who leads by 6.
Brought to you by Rolaids. Rolaids spells relief with a taste that can't be beat.
The Giants have control of game 1, an 8-2 lead over the Atlanta Braves. Tony Gwynn, Dave O'Brien with you from Atlanta, and Ted Turner Field. The other guys have really stepped up in the 2nd inning. One of those other guys, J.T. Snow, with a 2-run double. Bell with a base hit, looping over the head of Rafael Furcal. Rich Aurelia came up with a big 2-run double. And in the 6th inning, an extra base hit to drive in 2 for Benito Santiago. So if you'd said to most Giant fans, hey, they've come up to bat through 7 innings, and Kent and Bonds do not have an RBI, what would the score be? They might be surprised to know that it's the Giants with an 8-2 lead.
I think most Giant fans know that, you know, this is what was going to have to happen. I think they felt like the other guys were going to have to step up. Otherwise, if they didn't, you know, Barry was going to have to come out and you know, not be as patient as he's been the last 2 years and try to make something happen. And so, you know, he sees his teammates step up and get some big hits and drive in some big runs. That's going to make them a better club. That's going to make them a tougher club to beat.
Glance now at our Reese's Peanut Butter Cup pitching summary for the day. Ortiz certainly the star on the hill for either side. He's gone 6 excellent innings, walking 3, just a couple of strikeouts, but a lot of ground ball outs. 92 pitches, 56 for strikes. Glavine was gone in 5 innings, giving up 10 hits. So Tom Glavine knocked around. The Giants had an excellent, patient approach against him, Tony, and it worked.
Man, you're right. I think the key thing to that was they didn't try to pull everything. They hit the ball up the middle and the other way. They did hit some balls off the end of their bat that just happened to find holes, but sometimes, you know, when the approach is good, you get those types of hits. Sometimes, I mean, it's all thumbs up today for the Giants as far as their approach to attacking Glavine today, because it worked to a T.
Yeah, those 10 hits against Glavine, matching Glavine's career high in a postseason game. And Maddox will not pitch tomorrow. They're going to back him off to game 3 because of a blister on his right index finger, and Kevin Millwood will go in game 2. Is high, and here is the game 2 matchup right now. It'll be here at the TED. Reeder, who's developed into quite a clutch pitcher.
Yes.
14-8. Millwood with a turnaround year. Turned around his entire career with 18 wins. 3-1 on Lockhart.
And like I said, you know, Reeder is a guy that, you know, he's not going to overpower you, but he's a bull guard. And he comes right at you, and he doesn't give in. He doesn't give in either. And Dusty's got a pitching staff, like we talked about earlier. Nobody's got more than 14 wins. And he's a big game pitcher for the Giants, and knows what he's doing out there, and so you really have to bear down against him. And the same could be said with Millwood for the Atlanta side. I mean, he really turned his career around. Had a great year this year. I think became that pitcher he was two years ago. and is looking to turn this thing around for Atlanta tomorrow.
And he'd better be sharp, because the series would then shift to San Francisco as Lockhart takes ball 4, where the Giants are so impressive at Pac-Bell with a record of 50-31. Dusty Baker, like Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux with Atlanta. Dusty is a free agent when the season ends. He's unsigned beyond 2002. Certainly it would be tough to see him manage a team other than the Giants. 3-time manager of the year. He's won 90 games 5 times in 10 years. Here's Mark DeRosa hitting for Grabowski, the pitcher. Atlanta attempting to build something here in the 7th inning. Ortiz missing wide for a ball, and this is the big key with Russ Ortiz.
Yeah, you're right. And here comes Benito Santiago to go out and talk to him and try to calm him down. And it's like we talked about in the beginning of the game. The biggest thing is you have to throw strikes. You've got to be able, hopefully, to work both halves of the plate, but when you're throwing strikes, that gives you more options. And he fell behind Lockhart, battled back to 3-2, ended up losing him, and he starts DeRosa off with a ball. You see 99 pitches there.
Well, I think we touched on it earlier. Ortiz often pitches into the 7th inning, but only occasionally longer than that, and he has not pitched into the 9th this year.
Well, he's done his job up to this point. He'd like to, I'm sure Dusty would like to get him through this inning, go to his 8th inning guy and his 9th inning guy, and let the other guys get some work too. But
DeRosa looks at a strike, getting his first at bat in the postseason. 8-2 San Francisco. Rafael Furcal, the next man up for the Braves. So they go to the top of the order. Lockhart at first. The 1-1 breaking ball drifts away. And the Giants have activity in their bullpen. The hard-throwing Felix Rodriguez is getting loose. One of the liveliest arms in the National League.
absolutely.
When he's right, he can be deadly. 2-1. Pretty good cut by DeRosa, but he just got a piece of it. 2-2.
DeRosa's a guy who, before he got hurt this year, was starting to put some pretty good numbers up offensively for Atlanta. Back here in the postseason, I'm sure Bobby Cox is happy about having that, because it's another guy who can swing the bat, gives him some options on the offensive end. And in this situation, you're looking to try to extend the inning, whether it's a walk or a base hit, possibly work your way towards the middle of the lineup, putting them in a situation where they can do some damage.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Ortiz has faced Atlanta just once this year, and he beat them. He went 7 innings, giving up 2 runs, 5 hits. So he's trying to do exactly that here at the TED here in the division series. But here's the 3-2 to DeRosa. He struck him out swinging. 1 gone and a big out for Ortiz.
And that's a good pitch by Russ Ortiz. Fastball down and away. LaRosa looks like he's a little bit late on it. Russ Ortiz has pitched a really good game today.
Well, he was on the verge of walking his 2nd consecutive hitter. And the hook might not be far behind if he did that.
And that's why you got to give Benito Santiago a little bit of credit. And Rigetti coming out and calming him down, letting him know just no strikes.
Here's Furcal. He's 1 for 3. Started the game with a base hit. But it was the Giants who started the scoring. They got 3 in the 2nd inning. Atlanta got a pair in the same frame to cut the lead to 1. But it's been all Giants since then. San Francisco with 3 runs in the 4th, 2 more in the 6th.
And there just hadn't been that many opportunities for Atlanta, because Ortiz made the pitch when he needed to make it.
Lockhart on, 1 away. They're called very difficult to double up, especially hitting from this side, but it's lined and back to first. That's a double play. Kent to Snow for 2. And Lockhart caught off the base is doubled up. That's about the only way you double up for call in a situation like that. But Lockhart caught, leaning the wrong way. The Giants continue to own it, 8-2 in game 1. Back in Atlanta, game 1 of the division series, the Giants with an 8-2 lead. It is on to the 8th inning, and that's the left-hander Damian Moss, who had a terrific rookie year. His 12 wins, the most by a Braves rookie since 1983. Southpaw out of Darlinghurst, Australia, part of a double switch. DeRosa remains in the game to play second base. Here's Kent slicing a foul for strike 1. He came up with a double in the 6th inning. And in doing so was the last Giant of the starting 9 to get a hit today. He's 1 for 3.
Sure, you don't want to be the only guy in the lineup not getting a hit.
That never happened to you once in your entire career, Tony. Come on. You have no idea what that feels like.
Yeah, I do. Believe me, I do.
You got your 3 knocks by the 7th inning every time. Every game I ever broadcast that you did. You did that in. I mean, come on now.
I wish it was that easy, but, you know, it kind of gets back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the game today. You know, these guys aren't going to loosen up until they can start getting some hits and start do some positive things on offense. And the Giants have been able to do that. So far, the Braves really haven't. And so the longer these games go, the more pressure you put on yourself to finally conclude.
I'll tell you what, this 5-hitter offered up by Ortiz today has put a lot of heat on Atlanta. Kent strikes out. The first man gone in the 8th. And that'll send up Barry Bonds.
The Giants are going to be a team playing with a whole lot of confidence now. Their starter pitching has given them 7 innings. You know, the second half of their lineups put together, about 8 hits and 4 or 5 RBIs. And so they're going to feel pretty good about it. And you know, for the Braves, they're lucky. They get a chance to come out here tomorrow and try to redeem themselves if they can't come back today. Where in the Arizona-St. Louis series is a little bit different. They got that off day.
Barry today 1 for 3. He's been intentionally walked. He does have a single. What a season. 370. 46 homers, 110 RBIs. Only Ruth and Gehrig ever posted a season where they hit 370 with as many as 45 homers. And of course, he set the all-time record with 198 bases on balls. That's just staggering. Breaking his own record of last year of 177. And he set the all-time record for on-base percentage, reaching base more frequently than Ted Williams. Just a staggering year.
Unbelievable a man could be this patient. You know, knowing that, you know, chances are if you get something to hit, you're only going to get one. You only get one of them. And, you know, to be able to pick that one out and do some damage with it is just truly unbelievable.
Cut on and miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And batting here with nobody on base. The Giants safely in front by 6.
Now
So this is a big swing.
This next statement I'm going to make is going to sound a little ridiculous, but in the postseason, sometimes it's about reestablishing yourself for what you did in the regular season. I mean, you know, he was very patient. Already today, we've seen him chase a couple of balls that during the regular season we wouldn't see him chase. But, you know, coming into the postseason, it's like starting over. So you have to establish, you know, what balls you're going to swing at, what balls you're not. And seeing him swing at that last one,
up and over his head as he ducked underneath it, a full count on Bonds. So Moss leaving that one a little high.
Yeah, that's just a little breaking ball, hanging breaking ball. And he just struck Jeff Kent out on a good breaking ball, and this one he got up a little bit.
Bonds struck out 47 times all year, and there's a high fly ball center field. Jones going back all the way to the wall. He leaps up, and he came down with it. He made the catch. The 4-time Gold Glover Andrew Jones going up over that bench to bring one back, it appeared. So Bonds denied, as he was by Torrey Hunter in the All-Star game. Remember, he grabbed Hunter and picked him up off the ground. He may be looking for Andrew in a minute.
Now, so here's that one pitch that he gets. It's a changeup. Barry kind of short strokes it, and Andrew Jones goes to the wall, goes over the wall, makes the play. And for Andrew Jones, that's a pretty easy play.
Wonderfully timed, though, and takes away a home run from Bonds. which would have been his second. Right now, he still has as many playoff home runs as Mark Lemke, a former light-hitting Atlanta second baseman. But Barry thought he had one.
But he just can't win, man. He picks the right pitch out, he hits it good, and another Gold Glove center fielder goes over the wall and makes the play.
2 down. Santiago's had an excellent day. Nothing in 2 on. He is 3 for 4 with a 2-run double. So even though he didn't like that pitch, he didn't like the strike call, he's still smiling because he's had a very productive day.
You see Moss is all the way over on the third base side of the rubber, a la Tom Glavine. Mixing it in his changeup, occasionally coming inside, throwing that fastball for a strike, like the last pitch.
You could sew Glavine's name on his back and no one would blink. You know? That's how close he and Glavine are in style and where they stand and how they pitch.
I think Glavine's got a little bit more on the fastball.
Yes. And that would be one separating factor.
And Moss throws his breaking ball maybe a little bit more than Glavine does. But
1-2 swung on and missed. He struck out Santiago, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. But not a routine one. Barry Bonds looking for his first home run of this postseason run, but Andruw Jones brings it back. 8-2 the Giants. Much. This one moving toward a conclusion. San Francisco with an 8-2 lead in Game 1 of the division series over Atlanta, and the Giants bring on Tim Morrell, who had a tremendous season, a .225 earned run average. He won 8 ball games coming out of that bullpen, Tony.
He really kind of won the 8th inning setup job from Rodriguez. And he does it. He's a 3-pitch pitcher. Sinker, slider, and a very good changeup, and he works both halves of the plate. And he's been the guy to come in the 8th inning to kind of set up things for Rob Nin in the 9th.
But certainly not a typical setup situation here because Atlanta is trailing by 6. And they can save Nin for another day at this pace. Here's Franco. Julio is 1 for 3 with a single. Then it's Sheffield and Chipper Jones. Bottom of the 8th. And if it's going to happen for Atlanta, it has to happen real soon. Russ Ortiz did wonderful work on the mound for the Giants today. 7 innings. He allowed the Braves just 5 hits and 2 runs. He struck out 3 and he wound up walking 4 men. And he is in line for the postseason victory. 41,903 on hand at Ted Turner Field. There were plenty of empty seats when the ball game started at 1 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. The division series a little passe for Braves fans. They've gotten used to this. But the Giants, with an 8-2 advantage in Game 1, will not have to face Maddox tomorrow in Game 2. They will face Kevin Millwood instead. Maddox has been backed up a day and will make his first start of the playoffs in San Francisco in Game 3. He has a blister on his pitching hand. One ball and 2 strikes on Franco, who played in Japan. He played in Korea, and Atlanta found him in 1999 toiling away for the Mexico Tigres. He was hitting .423 when a Braves scout got a look at him. Brought the report back to Bobby Cox, and Bobby Cox said, "Is it the same Julio Franco that I'm thinking about? Is he still around?" Played well for Atlanta. On to first, Bell with the play. And Franco is retired. He's 1 for 4. Top of the order for the Braves. Not a lot of production. 2 for 12 and bounding into a couple of double plays. But one of them was that line drive by Fricall. He hit it right on the nose in the 7th inning, but into a twin killing.
And that's going to happen. Sometimes it kind of goes in cycles. Where for today, the Giants, the bottom half did a lot of the damage, but the guys in the top, they had their share too. But these guys would be heard from before it's over.
Gary Sheffield, 0 for 2. He's grounded a short and struck out. So Sheffield, who walked in the 5th inning, looking for his first hit of the postseason. Lays off low and away, 2-0.
Morrell just kind of lulls you to sleep out there. He's not a guy who's just a flamethrower, but You know, he can mix it up, little sinker, little slider. Take a little off, put a little on.
Back Sheffield off that plate. Gary stands about as close to the plate as anybody this side of Carl Everett. And he dares you to fire that thing inside. And with the quickest bat in the game, he can crush it. He can leave it out in front. 3-1.
You know, I thought he did. I thought he was one of those guys that I mean, obviously he is right on top of the plate. But the last AB that Chipper Jones had, it looked like he gets his hands out over the plate a little bit too.
That's right. Across and Sheffield thought he had ball 4. It's 3-2.
So Chef is standing up there. This AB. We're going to take a look. That's the top of the strike zone strike.
Well, early in the game, there were some funny looks from Mike Riley, just a couple, but he's called a really good game. Very solid back there. He's been at it for 26 years in the majors. That one driven deep to left field. Sheffield jumped all over it, and it is gone right now. Way out of here, Gary Sheffield with his first postseason home run. So his best friend, Barry Bonds, was denied a home run on a leaping catch by Andrew Jones. No one will deny Sheffield in this round tripper. And that makes it 8-3.
Well, we talked about it earlier in the game. You talk about bat speed. Man, this is a fastball that's elevated out over the plate. And you watch how quick that bat gets it through the zone. I mean, for the moment this ball leaves the bat, he knows he's got it.
His 4th postseason home run. He actually backed off the plate a little bit to crush that one. Chipper Jones 0 for 2.
And see, the difference between, let's say, a Sheffield standing at the plate and Chipper Jones is Chipper's got an open stand, so it's his back foot that's closest to the plate. And there you see his hands kind of hanging in the strike zone. And you don't want to make a mistake with a pitch up there like Morrell just did, because that's the ball that he will absolutely spank.
And very capable, these two, Sheffield and Chipper Jones, going back to back. They did it in a game against the Colorado Rockies in the middle of the summer right here. Sheffield's was the game winner. That home run went 415 feet. Hit up the middle. Chipper Jones with his first base knock of the day.
So the good thing for Chipper Jones and Gary Sheffield is now they both got hits now, and that pressure's off, and now they can just go out and play. Well, if you're Dusty Baker or Dave Rigetti, you're a little concerned that Morrell is getting the ball up, and these guys are taking pretty good passes at him. And you sure don't want to let a 5-run lead slip through your fingers, and so they're going to get on the phone and get somebody up in a bullpen.
And this is the part of the Braves order that can do that to you, shrink that lead in a hurry. Andrew Jones will bat. He is 1 for 3 with a single, but led them with 35 home runs during the season. He had a huge September. He had a 3-homer game, September 25th against the Phillies. He hit 8 of them for the month, while batting .351.
In case you fans at home want to know if the manager or the coaches or the players ever feel comfortable or feel safe with a lead, the answer is no. No matter how big your lead is, you're looking to get outs. And if you can get out, you'll give up runs.
Well, this might be 2 of them in one play. Really to Kent. One high throw. What a play, but he didn't get him. Jones is safe. Snow thought he had the tag there in plenty of time. Apparently he did not get him. And so the inning will stay alive. No double play. Just the out at second, but a near turn. And Snow with a leaping play at first.
Well, pitcher's best friend, he got the ground ball. And it looks like he was going to get the double play.
If he tagged him, he should have been out.
Well, he's saying that his foot hit the bag before he tagged him.
Another look, Andrew skirting away from it. He He's ruled safe. A high throw by Kent. On a double play effort, of course, you cannot charge an error. The Giants have the lefty and the righty now getting loose. Rodriguez and Iyer. Here's Javi Lopez. He's hitless today, 0 for 3. He's hit everything in the air. And he pops up again. Snow leaning to that dugout, but could not make the play.
There wasn't enough field for JT Snow.
He usually doesn't need a whole lot. He's won 6 Gold Gloves. But that one out of his reach. 2 away, a man on, a run in on the Sheffield homer. 8-3 San Francisco. Javi Lopez bothered most of the second half of the season by a sore right shoulder. A strained AC joint troubling him. He missed 23 games because of it. Just 11 home runs for him. Fouled back, straight back, 1-2. And a reminder, if you're looking for the Twins and the A's Game 2, it will begin on ESPN at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. That's in about 30 seconds from now. Minnesota with a 1-0 lead. Here 8-3 San Francisco and late. The 2 pitch popped up. This time catchable. Santiago would like to take it, and he drops the ball. He had a catch right there to make, which would have ended the inning, and barely got leather on it, about a half-inch of leather.
Well, on that ball, he looked over at JT Snow. He's trying to make the call. Goes for the old basket catch. Doesn't quite get it into the glove. And I think the fact that it was kind of a nonchalant kind of a basket catch, and then that expression really puts some importance now on this batter. Now you had a chance to get out of the inning, and you didn't make the play, and so now Braves got a chance to maybe cut into this margin a little bit.
Well, that gives Atlanta an extra out.
Absolutely.
The 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Lopez.
And it just never fails. It seems like in the postseason, you give the teams extra outs. They always capitalize. And on a situation where you can make the play and make the 3rd out of the inning and get out of the inning, you don't make it, you prolong the inning, they're asking for trouble.
2-2 pitch, and there's a drive to left field. Bonds backing and turning, and she's gone! And Atlanta given a second life on that Javi Lopez at bat. On the error by Santiago, Atlanta still has life. 8-5, the second home run in the inning by the Braves.
In this business, you just can't take anything for granted. You give teams extra outs, the good teams always find a way to cash it in. And this is a fastball up and in, and Javi knows he's got it. And so now there's a little bit of that doubt starts to sleep into your mind. You started this inning off with a 6-run lead, and now it's down to 3, and you got another guy coming up to the plate who's capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. You're trying to get out. That's all you're trying to do. Throw strikes and get out.
Vinny Castilla digs in. Base is empty, but 3 runs in, and there's a line drive hit into left field. Castilla aboard for the second time today. That's a single. And all of a sudden, the Atlanta bats have awoken. And Rob Nen is up in the San Francisco bullpen. 8-5.
Hanging slider up in the zone. Vinny Castillo does what he's supposed to do when he's supposed to hit this ball hard. He does. And now they're going to send a pinch hitter up for Damian Moss. And it looks like Matt Franco.
Yeah, Franco being announced. see what Dusty wants to do here. A 2-out single by Castilla, but 2 home runs in the inning for the Braves. Sheffield started it. And it seemed like it wouldn't mean all that much, a solo home run. But on this play, which would have been out number 3, right before the home run by Lopez, Santiago calling for the pop-up routine play and did not make the catch, charged with an error. And moments later, Lopez cranking one 394 feet for a 2-run shot, and the Braves are kicking. There's the tomahawk chop made famous during the '91 season in Atlanta's scintillating run to the World Series. Here comes Dusty Baker.
And really what this inning has done is woke these fans up too. They were awfully quiet, 8-2. And now they've come alive.
So that'll do it for Worrell. He gives up 4 hits, 2 home runs. Granted, he should have been out of the inning if not for the Santiago error. But he was also hit pretty hard. It's 8-5 San Francisco. We'll be back, still playing the 8th. Worrell knocked around and has to leave the ball game. And Scott Iyer, the left-hander, will come out of the bullpen and try and clean up this mess. So far, a 3-run mess. He's appeared in 70 games. That's with Toronto and San Francisco. The Giants, a 1.59 ERA in 21 games. That's just 11 and a third inning. So Giles to hit. They called back Franco. And they bring up Marcus Giles. The right-hand hitter at 238 homers, 23 runs batted in. A runner at first. Vinny Castilla with a single. How big a part will the Santiago error play in this contest? It's already played a very active role. Fired in for a strike. 1-1.
Well, this was definitely the matchup Bobby Cox wanted because he sent Brian Giles out. Then he pulled him back, sent Matt Franco out. Dusty came in, made the move to the bullpen. He sent Giles back out. So Marcus Giles, excuse me. And so this is the guy he wanted hitting.
A very aggressive hitter. He pops it up. Right through the chute. Another chance for Santiago toward the stands, and he makes that catch. What a play by Benito Santiago. Far more difficult than the one he dropped. He goes into the camera well. Knocking lenses and rolls of film everywhere to haul this one in. Still 8-5 San Francisco as we go to the 9th. Well, this one has tightened up markedly. 8-5 San Francisco. Benito Santiago's error opened the door for a Brave comeback. But moments ago, some redemption for the All-Star catcher as he made a terrific catch in the camera well. Now, if you're just tuning in, looking for the Twins and the A's, that game is now airing. Game 2 of the Division Series on ESPN. And as soon as we leave air after our ball game here in Atlanta is finished up, that contest will be seen on ABC Family. That's what you're watching right now, and you're looking at Darren Holmes, who appeared in 55 games. A remarkable year for him. He missed all of last season with a serious back injury. Tell you what, you come back after missing the entire previous year, and you put up a 181 ERA in 55 games. You have shown a lot of people something.
He's another member of this kind of improbable bullpen that the Braves have with Hammond and Holmes, Grabowski. You know, these guys have come in and done a super job, and that's not even talking about Rillinger, who is, in my mind, I think the best setup guy in the National League.
And how about John Smoltz?
And then Smoltz at the end. I mean, it's a good bullpen.
Here's Reggie Sanders. On to the 9th inning. 8 runs, 12 hits, 2 errors for San Francisco. 5 runs, 9 hits, nothing in the error column for the Braves. Sanders has gone 1 for 3 with a single. 6, 7, and 8 hitting in this inning against Holmes. It looked like the Giants were sailing to an easy win today, but Atlanta rallying in the 8th with a pair of home runs, Gary Sheffield and Javi Lopez. Bobby Cox didn't like this pitch.
He didn't. And that's when Holmes breaking ball. It looks like he puts it in a good spot. Javi centers it nice and doesn't get the call.
1-1 in there for a strike. I think that's very big of you as a former hitter to commend the pitcher for putting it in the right spot and not automatically assuming he missed.
Well, this is what the Atlanta Braves pitchers do better than anybody is when Javi Lopez sets up back there, all he does is set his body in a position where he wants the ball to hit the center of the glove. And you'll watch Javi give the sign, and then he will set his body up, and he will put the glove right in the center and say, hit my glove. Now, that ball was a little bit down, but normally Javi will set his glove there, and these guys do it better than anybody. They usually hit the glove dead center, and if you hit the catcher on the dead center in his stance, you're gonna get the call. And so as a hitter, you knew if they hit the glove, you better be swinging.
You wonder how much of an advantage because of the shadows they're starting to creep in toward home plate that the pitcher has. As you see, Holmes is firing out a sun. But the roof of the stadium behind home plate starting to extend that shadow, push it out now across the plate.
And right now it's not bad because the ball is in a whole lot of sunlight on its way to the plate.
But soon,
usually probably by the time the Braves come up to hit here in the bottom of the ninth inning, it's going to be a little bit tougher.
I mean, Rob Nenn's tough enough.
Exactly.
Without that added advantage, the 2-2 is low. Full count on Sanders. JT Snow to hit next. Late afternoon in Atlanta. But this one is not over. It looked like it was over going into the bottom of the 8th when Atlanta led or trailed in the ballgame, I should say, 8-2. The Giants with a 6-run lead. But a good hunk of that is gone.
Hitters still showing a whole lot of patience up here at the plate.
Struck him out. Sanders waving and missing. Holmes gets his first man one away in the ninth.
This is just right down Broadway. You're saying here it is. Take your best whack at it. And once again, Holmes kind of missed his spot. But he made it a good enough pitch to get it by Reggie Sanders. Get the first out of the inning.
Left hand hitting Snow, 1 for 4 with a key double in the second inning. He takes strike 1. And after him, David Bell. The Giants trying to hang on and grab a 1-0 lead in the best-of-5 series. Another run would be nice, and that one knocked foul. 0-2 on Snow. Now you're sitting in the Giant dugout right now. I mean, a 3-run lead in the 9th inning, especially with one of the best closers in the game on your side. You're feeling pretty good. But if you get that other run, an extra run, to make it a 4-run lead, if you're Dusty Baker, you think, well, it's going to take a grand slam just to top, right? Isn't that how they think?
That is how they think. They want to, anytime you can add, that's what I was saying early in the game, no lead is safe in the postseason. Anytime you can add runs, anytime you have guys in scoring position, you want to try to take advantage of that. But as you can see, what the Braves do up in the 9th inning, 9-1-2, you're one hitter away from getting to Sheffield again, getting to Chipper Jones again, from getting to Andrew Jones, and you don't want to do that. I don't care if you've got your closer on the mound like they're going to have here in the 9th inning. You don't want those guys coming up to the plate with a chance to get them back into the ballgame.
Here comes the 1-2 to Snow. In for strike 3. 4 of the last 5. And 5 of the last 6 San Francisco Giants have been struck out by the Atlanta bullpen.
And this is a nice pitch by Holmes. Watch this thing run back over the inside part of the plate. And what I was talking about with Javi, that's right in the center of his stance. All he does is stick his glove there, and Holmes hit it. And that pitch 9.5 times out of 10 is going to be called a strike. And that was a good pitch.
David Bell with a good day going, 2 for 3 with a couple of singles, but a routine roller, and the side is retired. The Giants go 1-2-3. Last chance for Atlanta. They scored 3 in the 8th. They're still down 3 as we go to the bottom of the 9th in game 1. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's the bottom of the 9th in Atlanta. Rob Nen on to protect a 3-run lead. The 3-time All-Star, among the best closers in the game. He just completed another tremendous year, 43 saves, a .220 earned run average. At 32 years of age, the youngest ever to reach 300 saves. He's done it 314 times. First man in against him will be DeRosa. And then it's the top of the order, Rafael Fricall and Julio Franco.
And his credo is going to be just like it's been for them all day long. Strike one, throw strikes. Keep the guys off the bases, throw strikes, mix it up.
This one low, ball 1. Gary Sheffield would be the 4th man up in the inning if the bottom of the 9th is still going. 2-0. Nen in the playoffs has been exceptional in 4 division series games for the Marlins and for the Giants. He has not allowed an earned run. 1-0 with an ERA of 0.00. But he's wide here, and it's 3-0. The Braves scored 3 times in the bottom of the 8th to pull to within 3 runs. And thus Nen has to work in the 9th. He pumps in a strike.
The thing with Rob Nen is if you're the Braves, you want to get somebody on because he doesn't hold runners real well. And in this situation, I'm not going to be thinking about the runner too much. But
that's on the inside corner for a called strike. It's 3-2. And now, Tony, does the shadow play a more active role around the plate? Now
it does because where the last half inning you had a lot longer look at it, now you don't.
High for ball 4, he walked it.
So that ball's going from the sunlight to the shade a little bit quicker now than it was the last half inning. And now if you're the Giants, if you're Giant fans, you really got to kind of hold on to your seat right now because Rob Nen does not hold runners real well, and even though it's a 3-run lead for him, and he's not going to be concentrating on that runner, with the runners moving, you got a chance to make some stuff happen.
Fricall not a very patient hitter, though. Just 43 walks. He came to bat 636 times during the season. He's 1 for 4 today. And that's a strike. The Twins and A's coming up. You can see it now on ESPN, but may want to hang out a little bit longer here in Atlanta. That is high for a ball. It's 1-1 on Fricall. The other factor with Rafael Fricall is all the infield hits he can wreak havoc with. 38 infield hits on the season.
Let's face it, the Braves were out of this game until the last inning where they picked up 3, and now they've got a little bit of life, and they're gonna have to capitalize on it.
Foul back by Fricall, and now Nen is in front, 1-2.
Last inning, the Braves capitalized on an error by Benito Santiago on a pop-up and turned it into 3 runs. Turned an 8-2 deficit to an 8-5 deficit, and now they've got a man on and a chance to make something happen.
Nen wants the strikeout. Just a piece for Fricall. And we do want to let you know that even though the Twins and the A's are starting on ESPN, as soon as we finish up here in Atlanta in this division series game number 1, you can see the rest of that ball game on ABC Family. That's where you are as we speak. And we are in the 9th inning with nobody out. Atlanta with a man on. Nen with his blistering fastball fires the 1-2. Little bloop shot into left. Bomb's coming on. It's going to drop for a hit. And Atlanta has 2 on with none out. And the Braves are about to bring the tying run to bat in the bottom of the 9th. Fricall with a base hit.
That's a great AB by Fricall. He stood there and fouled off some tough pitches. Just gets enough of this slider down. Just gets enough of it to drop it in front of Barry Bonds for a base hit. So now Giant fans, you're going to
into a double play his first at bat. He's also flied out, singled, and grounded out. Sheffield next. Two on, and that's strike one. Nico does an excellent job making contact. He's a very tough out. Bobby Cox said before today's game, that's the reason I want his bat in there, hitting out of the 2 slot. He's just a good professional hitter. And we'll have to throw him strikes. The 0-1. And he's doing nothing in 2.
Franco didn't like that call, but maybe he thought this was up. But it's a little slider, Powder River, they used to call it. Slider right down the heart of the plate. And maybe that shadow's starting to come into play too here. Maybe you didn't really see that ball that well.
Could be. They lead away. Just outside. And that one Nen wanted. A ball and 2 strikes on Franco.
Well, maybe everybody's having a little trouble seeing the ball back there. I mean, that was a pretty good pitch by Rob Nen. A little slider on the outside part of the plate.
DeRosa and Prakal aboard. Nen's pitch. Foul tip by Franco. He is difficult to get. Just got a piece of that Nen pitch.
Sometimes that's what you have to do. You got to battle. You got to foul off the real good pitches and try to prolong the battle long enough for you to get a mistake and maybe handle that. But that ball was exactly where Rob Nen wanted to put it, slider on the outer third. Franco fouls it off to stay alive.
Again, and again back to the screen. It's fouled away.
Fighting for survival.
That time he came with a Swifty. He went with a heat. And Franco hung in. Nobody out in the ninth. A 3-run lead for the Giants. Fly ball toward the alley. On the run, Sanders, and he will make the catch. He was battling that sun, and the runners get back to first and second. Julio Franco tagged it, but Sanders chased it down. Let's go to the studio. Here's Carl Ravitch.
Dave, thank you. A 3-run home run there. Ties it a 3-run home run here. Changes the score completely. It was 0-0, and Joe Mays gave up a 3-run shot to Eric Chavez. And he's just since given up a double to Jermaine Dye. So the Twins are in trouble in game 2 in the bottom of the first. Oakland 3, Minnesota nothing.
You're thinking deja vu. Been there, done that. They're down early in game 1, rallied to win. Here's Gary Sheffield as Atlanta has rally on its mind. He bends away from the first pitch. Gary Sheffield wears the same World Series championship ring that Rob Nen owns. He is 2 for 10 lifetime against the hard-throwing right-hander. But the two of them on the Marlins in '97. They swept the Giants in the first round of the playoffs together. The crowd chanting for Sheffield as that one's across for a strike. 1-1.
And I can't tell you how great a play that was Reggie Sanders made in right field with that sun. That's the toughest sun this time of the day in the league. And he went into right center and made a nice play and kept the runners from tagging and kept them right where they are.
But Sheffield can tie it with one swing of the bat. Oh, he had a cut. Gary Sheffield coming out of his shoes to hit that one, as he did in the 8th inning when he cracked a solo home run.
I mean, that's your best against my best. A little slider by Nen. Sheffield right on it, fouling it straight back.
This is the matchup you pay a ticket for, right? You buy a ticket to situations like Nen against Sheffield in the 9th. And that's fouled right back. And a ball that Nen left up.
And you see those balls coming straight back. you know he's right on. He knows he's had 2 pitches here that he's put 2 pretty good swings on.
So these 2 old friends now adversaries in the Atlanta Sun. Game 1 of the division series. 2 on, 1 away. Off the end of the bat by Sheffield. There's Sheffield with 22 game-winning RBIs for Bobby Cox. That led the majors. And now he's thinking about tying it up. He hits his 2nd home run of the afternoon. Will be knotted at 8.
Or at least getting a base hit and giving the guy on deck a chance to possibly prolong the inning.
The guy on deck is none other than Chipper Jones. And takes a sign from Santiago. Ground ball. Aurelia has it to Kent. 1 on to first. Got him, a double play. And the ball game is over. The Giants hang on to take game 1 of the division series. They down the Braves in Atlanta 8-5. Rob Neff holding on. It certainly got fascinating in the night.
Perfect ground ball. Slider, got the ball on the ground. Pitcher's best friend, double play.
And so the San Francisco Giants, behind the win from Russ Ortiz, knock off Tom Glavine and the Braves in their own house and take game 1. Our final score is San Francisco 8, Atlanta 5. Coming up next, the Twins and the A's, game 2. For Tony Gwynn and our entire ESPN crew, this is Dave O'Brien saying so long from Atlanta. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Let's go to John Miller and Joe Morgan.